System error. Alignment.
So long!
And it's now on the stream.
It's staying in. I love a happy middle ground. I mean, I'm completely on board with it.
I can't believe it took you this long to find it.
I would have known. Sponsored by the Liberal Democrats.
We are liberal with many
This is a
things.
positive broadcast on behalf of all nerds. Actually, yeah, you can get the word nerd from that. What else you can get? Right, carry on. I'm going to put this out.
So, we.
You wonder where the inspiration for Brandis came from.
Fuck off.
Oh dear.
Hello and welcome to Alignment Unknown. Good evening, Chris.
Oh no, you can get murd. There's no N.
Bird.
Murder.
Nerd from Liberal Democrats. Don't believe.
Food.
Nerd. There. We're either going to go Swedish Chef.
Murdered.
Murd. This is diet, it's got no sugar in it.
Hello and welcome to Alignment Unknown again.
Murd.
I don't know where everything is.
How blind are you?
Oh god.
Take 3. Hang on, we got like a clapper board.
No, I should get one. I can be one for a bit. If I did that and then
triggered
something
by
holds up like a
clapperboards.
notebook
So-
underneath. I think we should do that. Maybe after the break.
Normal service has been resumed.
This is a great podcast.
That's alright, we can fuck it at the beginning because you can cut out the audio.
I don't think he does though.
No,
I think that's the thing.
I chose my words carefully. He could.
He could.
Just control F, first minute, delete.
Hello and welcome to Alignment Unknown again. Oh, he's so pretty. Anyway. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by one of the players now.
I'm not saying word. That's all I'm doing.
In my head. Anyway, hello, welcome to the bullshit. We are here once again. We are back from our holiday special. Birthday special. Someone pay me.
We're trying. Subscribe to our Patreon. Hey!
Yeah, normally it's in the middle, the end. We're getting you right at the beginning this time.
Anyway,
Every 5 minutes until one of you do.
So obviously last week we took a wee little break from our storyline with the group that shall be referred to at the moment as the Pain in the Ass. That is the group's name. It's lovely. And then we went to see a story about Marble Song, and then we came back. But that's not a good catch-up, is it? So we'll do that after the theme tune. Any announcements from the lovelies?
When's it going out?
This will be going out tonight.
Fuck
now.
yeah. So come to Rough Draft on Tuesday at 7:30 at the White Theatre.
And see this guy do some of the acting.
That bit will also be out tomorrow morning on the podcast. And that will also be going out on Wednesday after the fact.
Yeah, but
So-
you've organised it.
I mean, to those that couldn't
I mean,
come,
it's
it was
also-
amazing. It went really
It was
well.
really good, but also it's on every month. So I'll be
It
there.
It won.
Yay.
It won 8 different
We've
awards.
definitely got one audience member.
I'm
Oh, we've got
watching my
loads.
What?
We've got quite a few.
Oh, was that you don't want your script on a rough draft?
I mean, I've already done it once. I've already worked it. That's the only reason I need a rough draft. But, you
Okay.
know, I'm not saying that I use you and abuse you all the time,
I
Hannah,
mean,
but...
it's literally the point of rough draft.
Yeah.
So
Dollar in Assinum.
Anywho,
that sounds really cool.
for the 26th, is it? That is your 25th?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay, it's just for those who are
25th.
listening right now.
It's the 25th, yeah. It's
The
Tuesday.
25th of Tuesday,
Of Doomsday.
you can come along and watch these lot, and me sat in the background just going, really?
Not this really.
I will be there though.
Kyra will be
If you wanna
improvising
run
in
me
the middle of
out,
the
I'll be at
audience.
the side going, woo!
Just once.
So,
I'll
okay.
probably,
Suzy wisely.
knowing the workplace, I'll probably be supervising it, running the reception and the bar, whilst also asking, does anyone want to work for the Y? Anyway.
Oh yeah, he was really like a career stay as well. I have a table set up with all the different jobs you can do. These little wild jobs. It's amazing. HR will be all over that.
We don't need that many tables.
If you needed, I could practice, talking about heritage.
Anywho, so welcome to Alignment Unknown for the 1500th time. There is a rough draft run by that one over there.
And Hayley and Paul.
And Hayley
who
and
are
Paul.
also really lovely and awesome.
But we don't care about them on the podcast. So
No, we don't. Especially because I don't think so.
No.
Do they tune it?
I don't think they do, so therefore.
They're dead to us.
they have lives on Sundays. Anyway,
It wasn't life on a Sunday.
I mean, I used to, and then Alignment Unknown. Anyway,
This is more than used to do on a Sunday.
I used to masturbate a lot.
You still do!
Right! Stop just...
You guys are the
Do you
actual
feel
worst.
like ass starts to going down?
Listen, I tried, but I had fucking 5 seconds of let's try pull nerd out of the Liberal Democrats.
I'm sorry! Right, cool. I'm being good now.
Good boy.
Fuck you.
Sorry, that was.
Anywho,
Punch you in the face.
so, join us on our Patreon. You get to join us in the Discord. You get to get notes that say, literally we just ran a one-shot with Hannah as a duet, and you'll see the notes for tonight's session as well if you get the right subscription, and you'll see both of them are really improvised.
It was fun. It's coming out in a couple of weeks.
That leads into the other announcement. As of the 7th
Really?
of...
Easy.
7th of July, we cannot stream on the 7th. So, because of that, there will be the announced Alignment Unknown's Silence, which the podcast will be of the 8th and the 11th of July. The YouTube link will be on the 10th of July. They will be coming out as the first episode of the Silence series. It's not technically a new campaign, it's just backfilling lore from the current world with one-shots and such. The one we literally recorded about 10-15 minutes ago was Hannah playing Slasher, going and finding out.
She's not from the West Country.
I mean,
It
no.
would be fun if she were, wouldn't it?
You were funny.
But
I mean, to be fair, I probably slipped there quite.
Also, I don't know if you know this, Hannah. I don't play Slasher, so I don't do the accent. I play Scarrow, and everyone else in the world. So I get to go. So we played this game, and this is what happened, and you can see that I played Scarrow for about 3 hours because fuck my life.
Yeah.
Anywho, you can come watch us fuck around with the world for about 3 hours if you want to come listen to the podcast. It'll be on those dates I just said. If you want to watch on the YouTube, it'll be on the dates I just said. If you don't want to see the stream, you're in luck. We're not on the 7th. Anywho, enough of my gay banter. Let's do the theme tune slide, and then we'll get into the game proper.
Hey!
Is everyone happy?
Yes.
Yeah. Happy.
Oh, happy. I thought you were cutting bread.
That's one.
We did this last week. You remember what happens when I try to learn sign language from you? I normally make it dirty. Anyway. Theme slide!
System error. Alignment unknown.
We were just learning about science.
Science.
Yes.
We're talking chickens, we're talking eggs.
Non-specific science.
All the science.
Hello.
Yeah.
We're talking about language.
I'm a doctor. Doctor of what? Of
Science.
Which one? All of them. Of the applied science.
When I play Trivial Pursuit, I'm just the green card, okay? Anyway. So, that's not the session notes.
Planchett.
Welcome back. Alignment Unknown. Games. Fun. Life.
That was in my exam and I missed it.
They're signing again. And I'm not saying that Alignment Unknown's against signing, but I am. So if you could stop. Sorry, did you hold your pinky? Thank you, salute light. Anyway. I love all of the world in its splendour and hate you all equally, just in case anyone thinks that I'm saying I love you. Just... Anyway. You try to make an asshole persona and you just become an asshole. Yeah.
Yep, that's how that works.
That's pretty much it.
Persona.
Dealing with the shackles swiftly, the group stepped out of the fuck. Dealing with the shackles swiftly.
We're the reason why you fail the time. It's not because you can't read. I love you, Stephen, so sorry. I'm feeling sassy, I'm really bad. I'm gonna go, because I'll write a new character right now.
Flash
I love that you think that Flashlight will be less sassy.
Yeah, but he'd be... Yeah, he'd know.
What if he
Yeah,
was?
wouldn't
He would just encourage you.
Dealing with the shackles swiftly, the group stepped out of the prison cell to find an antechamber with 5 dragon head statues that apparently led to different puzzle rooms. A projected image of a Medusa by the name of Karen, who informed them they needed 2 keys from the rooms to pass to the next area of the dungeon. Through mixed successes, the group managed to pass the fairly simple tasks and travelled on to the apparently named boss room where Karen appeared to summon Tiamat herself. It was found in the middle of the fight that it was actually a beholder zombie, which once again slaughtered Ellipsis before the group slew the beast. Waiting to see if
He
the
can tell what
Asma...
the best track record with beholders, does he?
Once again,
I think
slaughtered.
next time, let's just keep him outside.
Waiting to see if the Asma was to be lucky a second time to
You
find
stay here,
him
boo. We'll deal with this.
apparate before them, briefly amnesic, before reliving what appeared to be the deaths he had encountered thus far. I don't know how Angus Deaton used to do it. Autocue does not help. He seemed to have knowledge of his previous life, but nothing before that. Stepping out of the dungeon, the group found Pivot had slaughtered the villagers squatting in the ruins of Longsaddle, and the group discussed that the manor hadn't been used in years and looked like it had been fled or ransacked. I really was asleep when I wrote this, though the front door was still locked. Agreeing to spend the next 2 days gearing up to travel to Menzoberranzen, Hororae went to fetch Planchett went to study the manor for historical
It's how you
purposes.
say blanket if you've got Bell's palsy.
And Klaxis sort of started to prepare the bonfire that would be the manor's last impressive performance.
Bonfire.
Welcome back. Oh my love, you've got 2 days. You've got 2 days of stuff to do. What you like to do? What you like to do in 2 days? Has anyone got anything they'd like to do?
Fix and
Anything?
pivot.
Fix and pivot. So you're spending your 2 days fixing and pivot.
Yeah, I think that's
Lovely.
probably what I have time to do, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Loves?
Research and house.
Yes, you're researching the house.
And I need to ask Ellipsis again if he wants his ashes back.
Unfortunately, Ellipsis has locked himself in the upstairs room of the forge and can't be found because he's currently working on his Eric impersonation for Banana Man reference.
I'd like to spend 5 minutes a day standing at the door and be like, Ellipsis!
Do you want to build a snowman?
I have your ashes!
And the
As
microphones
water, we
speak.
can make little things.
Have you actually looked at it to see if it's still ashes?
No, it's still ashes.
You open it and it's an empty envelope. Ooh! Nobody saw behind the magician's mask, but then the TV show ruined it. Anyway,
Is it actually empty?
it's empty.
Oh.
It's empty. With a single note saying, "Hi, dear reader. I'm sorry. I took your ashes. I really needed them. Signed, the Gestapo." Anyway.
I was really, really happy about having somebody's cremated room.
Do I not even
There's a
have time?
reason that when we were going to do Modifiers Unknown, we were only going to introduce you to Adam and Hannah.
I
Anyway,
love that we're the good ones.
I mean,
I've already been at Abus today, and I'm still better than Kyra.
I
remember,
keep our standards low.
remember that much like in politics, you're choosing a lesser evil.
I apologise for all of my misgivings. Sorry, the correct thing is, I apologise if my words may have offended anyone. It's not an apology, but it looks like it. You're welcome.
Anyway, so you've been searching things. You go stand outside the door, telling Klaxis and Ellipsis and everyone else that apparently the invisible fucking
Somebody's stolen your ashes.
Anything
So on
else
and
for
so
anyone?
forth.
Anyone else wants to do?
I'm getting. I'm gonna go back to town and get like all the clothes off people I can, and all the firewood and oil and whatnot. And every single room she goes in, I immediately follow. And as she's trying to catalogue it, start tearing strips off the clothes and putting the oil up and hanging the oil stripped clothes on the ceiling. Like, you better like catalogue it quicker because it's going to go up in flames.
But you don't have to do this already. It's not going to take this long.
Oh yeah, but it's like Christmas, which is it's a festival where I set fire to buildings.
Was this something you did when you were family?
I know.
Oh.
And every single room you're in, I'm going to be there. Morning.
Could you at least like...
It's 7 in the evening. What are you doing?
Morning. I
I
like my work.
I know you do, but I do too, and it just doesn't smell
I'm
nice.
glad you like my work.
No. I'm just kind of hoping that you do it while I wasn't here. No, really. I'd really rather you didn't.
Are you staying in a room in this building?
I'm like moving like room from room to room.
Oh, I mean sleeping.
I'm not staying in the building. You filled it with like
I
rats
already
that are
filled
like...
some of the rooms with that.
Yeah, all the rooms I've been in.
Yep.
That doesn't make it any better.
Fine. I will pick a room I think you've been in and build a bonfire there. Just in preparation.
You could just ask one rooms that I don't need to go into and do this first.
All the rooms need to burn.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't burn all the rooms. I'm just saying just stop redecorating as I'm going.
Alright. I'll put the paint down and get the strips of oily paper back up.
So,
That's how I spent 2 days.
Yeah.
Looking back when he's like really old, Klaxis look back at this moment and go, I've wasted my life.
I thought you were going to follow it with, but those 2 days were the fucking best.
They put a building down and it was great.
And they got to piss her off in the process.
so
I don't know.
as you three stand on the second evening of your 2-day sojourn in the ruins of Longsaddle, you stand watching as Klaxis just come. Actually, you two are standing. You're there. Klaxis walks out, just leading a small trail of oil along the floor, and then stands, pulls some matches out of his pocket, and then lights the match and throws it onto the oil. There is a couple of minutes of waiting. It's at this point that you two haven't been paying attention to this, but he's actually built out some bits of the building with the wood and such like that, which leads to this amazing scene for people to draw if they like us.
What?
Draw.
Fan art. Anyway,
Not.
as the fire trails into the building and starts to catch a flame, first of all, you see what feels like a beautiful moment of watching birds flutter around in the rooms. Somehow. He doesn't know how he did it. He's just amazing. Anyway, it looks like birds fluttering around in the rooms, but it's actually the flames. And then, as it completely just envelopes itself in fire, the building itself looks like a raven with its wings outspread, and the head that he's built at the top lights up. And there's a brief moment where you go, he has spent his 2 days very wisely. But at the same time, why a raven? Oh, wait. There you go.
Really funny mystery calling about this.
Okay, bye. I mean, that's pretty. I'm going to turn around and light a pool that's come behind me and just set fire to the town. I can do quite a lot in 2 days about it. Not the forge. Not the forge.
Oh.
No. Find the forge.
Yes! I'm rewriting ellipsis tonight, I know. No,
5 dots.
5 dots. Can you guess how many dots he'll be at the end of the campaign?
23.
8 pie dots.
Anyway,
Pie dots.
as you turn around and watch the flame going down and then slowly taking the first few buildings, you watch Ellipsis walking up the little track towards the manor to see each of you. Hororae, you already know about this, but for you two, you see a tiny little pivot sat on his shoulder. like a little 1.5 foot tall pivot sat literally on his shoulder, like the workers on the girder in that fancy image. Another fan art service for you. Anyway, and he just walks up, kind of very casual. Well, it's been a busy 2 days, and it's been really hard doing all this work without also having to make a machine that sounded like I was masturbating for Klaxis, but at the same time, I feel like I've achieved, and I'm happy. By the way, sorry for you two, this is Boggle, and he points at the little mechanism on his shoulder. Whilst helping Hororae fix Pivot, I kind of had some thoughts, and as it was a fairly, not to degrade what she's done, but it was a fairly simple mechanism to recreate, I managed to make a small version with the remaining metal, and I thought it'd be better to test the mechanism with like stealth and like small things rather than just being a big punching bag. Not that there's anything wrong with a punching bag or anything shiny or anything, but also he can do this. Boggle, high five. And he puts his hand and just the little arm comes and goes against his hand.
Oh my heart.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I want a high five.
He brings him down onto his hand and puts him in front of you. High fives. Now, for the description completely, it looks like a 1.5 foot tall version of Pivot. However, the head is a massive globe-like shape, and the body is spindly and small, much like a worse version of Marvin the Paranoid Android, for Adam and for those who actually care about that sort of thing. I just liked Alan Rickman as... Either way, Marvin the Paranoid Android meets Pivot.
What the fuck was that whispered in my ear?
My friend used to work at Raza, and she has smelt Alan Rickman, and she has smelt lots of celebrities and knows how they all smell, and she no longer works there for different reasons.
He brings the hand forward with Boggle sat on his hand, and it just slowly taps you. It feels like you'll know about this. You know when you get the first part of your tattoo and the needle kind of stabs into you, and that initial shock. It feels like that.
Sorry.
Can I just have a look at Boggle?
Yeah. Again, like I said, from the description, it looks like a miniature version of Pivot.
Does Boggle have a smiley face?
Boggle has 2 little slits with like blue light shining through for eyes and no face.
What I'm saying is, the chalk's coming out, and Boggle's getting a smiley face and happy eyebrows.
Looks down at Boggle and goes, "You okay with that?" Boggle just turns and looks at him.
It's not a tie though, because you're not old enough to wear a tie like a formal chap. Bigham gets a tie because he gets to go to work.
Can I try reviving Pivot
I
now?
feel like Pivot looks a little bit like proud, actually.
Yes, this is Boggle. Boggle will be accompanying me on the long road that is leaving you free if I have to die again.
That's
I mean, we weren't there for the first time,
I know.
so you can't blame us.
I know, I'm not blaming you for the death. However, remember that conversation I had where I said, you guys are a catalyst for my good, and then I died.
I mean, that was a beholder and not...
Clearly your death was doing something good for someone, because, you know...
Middle management, according to Karen.
I see that.
Anyway, yes. So I will chalk it down to professional courtesies, but I'm just saying, if I get squished again, I'm going to go find a very nice Holiday Inn and stay there.
There's no nice Holiday Inn.
We roleplay what doesn't exist.
Welcome to Misery Inn. Would you like a tiny question?
Travelodge if you want to hire us or anything.
Premier Inn's beds are genuinely lovely.
They are the actual best.
Yeah.
I'm so
Anyway,
excited.
enough of this game, Amanda. Let's do a D&D podcast.
What
No,
I'm saying is
you're
they're too
gonna
I
tall.
love the Red Hotel so much.
I've never been.
That's great.
So what's the plan? What are we doing? What?
We're heading to Menzoberranzen.
Menzoberranzen.
Hey, so I can get, so we can do stuff, and there's definitely much because I want to go there. I don't look at anyone like, yeah, it's definitely a good decision. Because we're heading over to where she wants to go to find the Chronomancers. And it's not because I want a sword.
Okay.
Ooh, charmed my way out of that one, didn't I?
Excuse me whilst I move the 3 versions of the same map so I can see the one that hasn't got blood and scribbles over.
Yay.
Yay.
I'm still just imagining Boggle as Baby Groot.
Yes.
Baby
If you mix Marvin the Paranoid Android with Baby Groot, that's what I was aiming for when I designed it.
Yay!
Like his first words just.
Oh, them two! I've just got like. Pivot's gonna be so protective now. That's so cute. Oh.
I mean, Pivot's gone from being just a machine
Yeah.
to having a lot of emotion this week.
Yeah?
I quite like it.
Hannah knows a lot about Pivot. Hororae's still very much like, don't you guys get invested? He's mine. Alright.
Can we stop calling him Uncle Pivot?
Right.
No.
Are you ready to,
I
are you ready to like leave? Because like it's A, this fire is really warm, and B,
It's quite nice in the middle of winter.
I can imagine. Yeah, but still, it's there's warm and then there's that fire's quite close. Shall we skedaddle?
Fine.
You can
Is
get
there anything else that we need to
No, I'm good.
prepare?
I mean, it's just we're just
What are we
walking to.
expecting from Menzoberranzen?
Well, aren't you trying to find like, well, Chronomancer chappies, Necromancer, whatever,
They're in Arcadia.
via Menzoberranzen.
I mean, we can have a look anyway, 'cause you never know what turns up. It's not
I'm
like
not saying that at all, but I'm saying, you know, it doesn't have the best reputation as a city, being basically the mouth to the Underdark. Is there anything else that we should be? Don't you fucking.
Oh no, I wasn't laughing. You think I was laughing? I was laughing at the accent we all know the Underdark has. That's all I was thinking about. All I was thinking about.
I
And
hope you're prepared.
it's my favourite theory to talk with, and I love it so
so
much.
Perfect.
Okay, sweet. So
I'm just thinking, is there anything else that we need to prepare? Anything else that we,
no,
I don't know, can and even do? Probably not.
You spent 2 days like prepping stuff. You're not doing
Well, I
it now.
spent 2 days fixing Pivot.
Alright, he looks grand for it. He's well polished.
Brings both thumbs. One looks polished.
Aww.
They're both
Yeah, but one looks recently reforged then. Sorry. Jesus Christ.
Yes, he just.
Just bring the world to life, Steve. That's all you have to do. Just describe things, and every now and then they're not fucking right.
Alright, sweet. We'll leave to go to
Well,
Menzoberranzen.
We're going!
4 dots. Hey, calm down, 4 dots. You're talking to yourself again. Come on. bring Boglies.
By
Amazing.
the way, guys.
What are you looking at?
By the way, guys, just in case I start singing every now and then, I've recently found I'm really into music. Level 1 bard, level 3. No,
I mean, you 4 dots. You do you.
I mean, I will.
Klaxis is
if I'm a bard.
totally on with it. I hate you. Klaxis is fine. Klaxis is completely fine with it. I want you to drown. Klaxis is completely fine with everything they're doing.
Cool. Lovely. Beans. Let's.
I love the beans growing in there. What the fuck is going on today?
Sweet. I'm gonna suggest. Right. Klaxis is gonna be like, cool, nothing's happening. Shepherds you all together and literally pushes you along the path towards. Pivot, help us, give us a push. Come on. Okay, just push him towards. Push the story forwards. Literally pushing the story along. I roll for deception because Adam isn't doing it at all. Cool.
It says
So,
you're
as
the one
I
driving
tell you
the
all to shut the
story
fuck up, all
forward
that
and
character
we're the ones fucking about.
dies. Hororae.
What?
To the podcast, Adam's having a poo.
Normally, we are to the story like Indiana Jones is to the boulder. We're like running away from it as fast as they can. This time we're just going to meander quietly whilst the boulder rolls away in front of us.
Like I said, if you're on the Patreon, look at those campaign notes. Anyway, so.
Go.
Right, Ironside, let's go. So, that was a reference that even I went.
Jeremy Irons.
Anyway, so you guys pack up your stuff, you leave the burning ruins that is Longsettle, and you start to head, knowing the map.
We do.
So head back north towards Mirabar. You have agreed over the 2 days that you've been discussing as well that the best method of travel to Menzoberranzen would be to travel a day north, then circumvent the Lurkwood, and then you will enter the Underdark.
Yep.
So, travel day 1. Captain's log.
Dear 1 on the
I
Menzoberranzen
can't see it
path.
on that one.
And Klaxis is attacked a spoon. Motherfucker got a maps. I'll do voices.
Cool. So you guys, you guys start to head out. The snow has faded away, for want of a better description. It is no longer actively snowing. The snow that has been there has melted down to slush, and it is just a bitter cold in the air. You travel for the first day with not a lot of issue. There is a very easy travel of walking up the long road, not really anyone or anything to distract you from your walk, so you're just travelling. However, when you pull over for the first evening, you come off the main track and head a couple of about 20-30 minutes off the track, so you've got some space with you for camping and set up camp. About an hour or two later, you hear the noise of regimented and multiple footsteps coming from the long road.
Is there a place I can ensconce myself, like in a bush?
So currently, there you're in. You're. Sorry, I should give a bit more description because that's my job. So you're currently in a small crevice in the Sword Mountains that are literally like back up against the long road. You've travelled up into the rocks to try and get your way yourself out of harm's way, and you found like a small alcove type thing in the rockway, which also covers from wind damage and all that, but also means that you have a easier advantage of the street of the long road stretching out either way to the north and south.
So we can see.
Oh, so we can see.
You can see, but because it's night time, you're struggling to make out anything other than it's just darkness after a couple 100 feet.
Can I just press myself against like the inside of the crevice and like?
You can roll a stealth check with
If
advantage.
it's dark,
That's fine.
grand target. Oh, that's good.
Do you guys have a fire going on, or
Yeah, we do.
We probably do.
I'm
what-
a city slicker.
so take that advantage away?
Well, that's good because the first one I rolled is the first one I'm going to use, and that's a 17.
Lovely. Although you know that the fire is causing some lighting in the rock face, you know that there's also a lot of little kind of like not stalagmites.
Stalactites are the ones that come down. Stalagmites
Yeah,
are the
might want
ones
to
that
go
come
on. But they're like
They
outside
make
and
sense.
more of a like a rock. It's more just a pockmarked rock face type area rather than being like stalagmites that are all very thin and thinly jutting out of the ground. But either way, you know that you've got some cover from the roadside, so you're not going to be seen unless people are specifically looking for you. A couple of minutes pass, you hear it getting louder and louder. About half an hour later, you all notice a squadron of about 40 armed guards marching in unison up the long road towards the Mirror area.
So we're just coming to sort of direction.
Yeah.
Do they? Sorry. Do they look like they've been fighting, or do they look quite?
Fairly, although from the distance that you're on, you get facial expressions as well. They look, at least with their speed and their gear that they're carrying, they look quite comfortable in their travel. So therefore, you would suggest that they've either rested since a battle, if they've been in battle, or they've not had to battle, but they've just been travelling quite relaxed.
Cool. Do they have a logo or anything I can see? A coat of arms?
No, just about 40 people. You got maths. You got 5 rows of 10. No, 4 rows of 10. 4 out of 8. Rather. 4 rows of 10 marching in a kind of like a block formation or walking up the long road.
Oh,
Yeah. They've not even paid attention to the rock side, the rock face that you're sleeping in. They're just marching with purpose up the long road towards Mirabel.
Is it that we can't see from where we are any sort of insignia or anything?
From the position you can see, you can just see 40 armed and uniformed, and armoured guards of some description.
I'd like to get out Truffle.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's a construct. I'm not sure if Truffle is male or female. I don't think you reference it. But yeah,
You take the ball out, you press the ball, for the first time you've done this, the first layer of the ball kind of opens out into wings and it just kind of flitters up into a small kind of...
It's like a tiny hummingbird.
It floats up into a small hummingbird that just kind of zips back and forth in front of you and then just faces you, kind of flipping back and forth as like a small little few inches of space waiting for whatever you have to say.
I was going to say, see if they've got any sort of insignia.
Cool. It spins around in a circle.
Monocle. So I can see.
You put the monocle on pivot.
No, I made one for each, remember? I did that on another day. And look, I've definitely got it on both now.
We said that you could do that, you never said that you made it.
No, I did, because I put it on him. Monocle, Companion Sight, Pivot and Truffle. I did that. I definitely did it. Look back in my notes.
I'm pretty sure you've never... I've said you could do it, but you never sat down to do it.
Definitely did it. Definitely did it.
If you believe she did, press the red button now.
Look, I've got downtime ideas, Monocle of Companion Sight on Truffle,
ideas.
and I crossed it out because I
Okay.
did it, I promise.
Okay, I'll tell you what, just for ease and because you know what, I really am just trying to put story into the world rather than doing a thing of like, you can't have it.
No, but I
honestly,
honestly,
you
I have to.
Truffle's Companion Sight. You put the monocle down. First thing that you notice is you can't see that well because it doesn't have dark vision.
It does.
Does it?
30 feet of dark vision.
30 feet, but you don't.
Yes. Can I not look through?
You're looking through its eyes, but that doesn't mean that you get the senses that it has.
Can I not? Because it's attached to my dark vision goggles, can I have the dark vision
Again,
goggles?
you're now going to get into a semantics thing of how it works. Dark vision would be seeing what's in front of you using your eyes. You're seeing, it's basically like a camera,
Okay.
but the camera, the night vision is not on the camera.
Okay.
The night vision is something that it filtrates through its mechanisms and such like that. Essentially like a brain.
Okay.
Like, anyway.
No worries. Then never mind. Don't see anything.
That's fine. You see, as you fly up to it, as it flits past, this is also because the monocle of Companion Sight is a rudimentary thing and will be fixed later. Because, like I said, I need to fix that thing because I haven't written it. And also, I can make that note. Either way, you watch as Truffle flits down and starts to flip through them. The closest thing to an insignia you can see is every now and then there is a lion head that is on a leather circle that is on the right arm of each of the armour.
Is that something I recognise?
It would be Felix's fine goods.
That one's got a leash.
I'm trying to remember if have we met Felix?
No, that was
before. Then I
We'd
have
know.
no idea.
We'd
Would
know.
Oh no, I would know.
Big son of Jesus, big shit.
Yeah, he is,
Oh, yeah,
he
he's
is
massive
basically he's a bit like he's like the Walmart of the north. People
Greg's.
he's known as Oggies. Anyway, if you you go along and you recognise that to be, you know that Felix's Fine Goods sells a plethora of armories and weaponry and such like that. Yes. Like I said, it wasn't to kind of be like no.
But I've never used it before. I need to understand
That's
how it
fine.
works.
You also get the knowledge out of that whilst you're there, just so you've got that, and you make a note in your notebook to edit the Companion Sight to interact with the night vision, the dark vision function of the companion. Because they're two different things essentially. You have to, it's like switching from CCTV to like
Infrared.
infrared, yeah.
Sweet, so if now we go and go away, why are we bothering walking?
Oh, just in case they put me out for us or something.
Well,
But they're not.
Mirabel was just attacked, and was decimated for half. So maybe they've just called for reinforcements.
Seems quite sensible.
Probably mercenaries or something if there's no.
And the more mercenaries are that way, the less is going to be that way.
They look perhaps a bit too regimented to be.
I mean, some of the outfits are quite, depends on who leads them, I suppose.
Yeah, it's about like there is a group known as the Frostbacks, which was led by a dragonborn down in Waterdeep that essentially trains them like militia rather than training them like just sellswords. And then you've got people like the Serrated Blade that literally just kill anything which they feel like. They're a bit like a shit assassin's guild.
Sweet.
Legit.
I like a shit assassin's guild, it's kind of mean, yeah. Slapping up, naughty. Klaxis shuts up. He's such a bad. I love him so much.
Anyway, yeah, if they're walking past, I'm still sleeping, I don't.
Yeah.
I will have to take watch.
It was less for watches and stuff, we were just passing through that one.
Oh yeah,
It was just
something
like that.
it's like a general vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, you take it in turns especially with the last 2 nights of staying in Longstow, you've been taking it in turns to keep watch and such like when people have been sleeping. But anyway, the next morning comes, no signs of further travel or any other regiments that come up the long road that you could see for those who took the watches. Right, so how do you work out how this works? Yeah. So you wake up the next morning and you start to walk out off the long road towards the Lurkwood. The best, like we said, the best method of travel from here to Menzoberranzen would be circumventing the Lurkwood. As you start to walk further and further off the beaten track towards the Lurkwood, it is starting to become a bit more apparent how, although the Sword Coast is predominantly civilized and has been populated by the free folk, there is still much kind of like open land and not a lot of charted territory.
Like Canada.
Like Canada, yes. So as you head towards Calgary,
the den of iniquity.
So yeah, for the first morning at least, you start to head towards the large tree mass that is kind of jutting out of the bleak kind of dark greys and whites that is the winter landscape of these meadows around the north. You would all know, just for information, that the Lurkwood houses the entrance to the labyrinth, which is a colossal network of great worm kind of tunnels that sits below the surface in the Underdark. Just in case anyone wants to go play in the Lurkwood, I'm ready for you. Okay.
I think if you hadn't have told us, we'd have probably said yes. But
Ah!
just sounds like he's waited lots of hours.
Bubble worms and like dragons and stuff like that. However, no, it's fine.
Last time that one really was, didn't it?
Yeah,
so
They were so big.
Anyway, awesome. So you start to travel. There's not a lot on the horizons that you can see. There is very little in terms of anything that seems to pop up in terms of like landmark or civilization. There's no people. There are no houses, and you travel for the first half a day, slowly getting yourself to the edge of the Lurkwood to cover yourselves from wind and just the elements. I'm going to ask you all to do a perception check for me, please.
Oh, oh shit!
That's a 1 for
That's
you.
a -1.
-1.
Probably a -1. Let me just triple check. Do I have any
Perception. Natural 20, 24.
24.
Yeah. 0.
10, 0, 24.
0, 10.
I live fifth.
I don't know.
It's gone forever now.
No, it isn't.
Does that make it like -1 forever?
Well, it's lost. Every time she rolls that d20 now, it's a 1. Because it lives on the floor now. I mean, you do have 30 other d20s.
Yeah, but this is a special one.
Okay.
We'll have to look in the brain. Yeah, we'll look in the brain. It's fine. It's fine.
Don't need to roll. Don't need to roll. I'll tell you what, just for safety, Here's my D20.
I've already got another one.
Oh, you've got
Yeah.
She's got a million.
That's fine.
No, I've got 2 that I really like. The special ones.
Okay, we'll find it in the break.
It's fine.
We'll
It's
find
Either
out
way.
the
So,
ransack.
Hey!
nice. Klaxis, you're the first person to notice this, and possibly the only person to notice this. There is a small plume of smoke coming out about mile into the Lurkwood, and about another 3 or 4 miles along towards Menzoberranzen, essentially.
Do I see anything else?
Other than that, just trees and open meadows ahead of you.
That's good.
That's all I have to tell you.
Sweet. Is that in the direction we will be going anyway?
Yes. So it's although if you were to follow the edge of the Lurkwood, you would be walking towards it. You'd have to go a mile into the Lurkwood to get to what's happening
What colour is this?
there. Looks light grey.
Oh, I see they've collected a poop. I'm such a bellend, I'm so sorry. I relay everyone. Shut up! I point the smoke out to everyone.
Okay, cool.
I'll be like, this looks like it's probably like either a fire, obs, or like a house or something there. So if we need to stay somewhere, we could
She said it's 2.
There's just one
Just one.
plume of smoke coming out. Looks small.
I was going to say, does it look narrow or like
it looks
quite
quite narrow and
Like a
light
chimney.
grey, like a chimney. Yes.
I was going to say, yeah, with all the
chimbley.
forging I do, would it?
It looks somewhat like a chimney, yeah.
chimney.
Yeah, looks like a chimney, like a chimney plume.
They're smelting
With-
brass, I
with
think, from the
all
smoke.
of the things that I
There
know.
is grey and green.
That's
some
definitely
I
black.
feel like
mercury
this is
in
going
it.
to become like Laura Bailey's favourite terrain.
Smoke.
This thing that I know counts as gives me.
Just because I'm wearing the t-shirt, and I might as well get the full reference. D&D's my favourite terrain. Anyway,
That was such a good episode.
I love him. Anyway,
It's a
So-
good t-shirt.
So do you want to go? If needs be, we could pop over and stay the night there, or we could head on in the wood.
I mean, we're going to get there in the next 2-3 hours if we start walking. So I think, can't remember how distances work.
I mean, if it's a mile in 2 or 3 hours, you're probably not going fast enough.
No, I'm reading wrong. Excuse my brain. It's about half an hour, 40 minutes for a mile. So, yes. Yeah, you get there in about because it's 3 or 4 miles along the way, then a mile in.
Yeah.
So you go about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. If you want to go directly straight through, you'd be going about hour and a half travel.
What's the time now, sorry?
So you come in about midday.
Sweet. So if we got there either way, it'd be like evening. And do you want to be around the Lockwood at night? Open.
It doesn't sound like my first choice, to be honest.
Just gonna throw this out there.
Right.
Do we know anything good about people who live in the Lurkwood on their own?
If anyone wants to know, make a nature check.
We're all like, what do we know? Still no knowledge.
I've forgotten.
An entirety of 8.
Oh,
10.
10,
14.
14.
Oh,
So you
Someone's got a +5 in nature for no good reason.
you already know this, Planchett, from your research over the last week or so. Last 2 days. Hororae, you know this from just knowledge.
How wise as fuck.
The Lurkwood,
intelligence.
although also the home to the entrance to the labyrinth, was also the hunting grounds of the Burntree family when they used to be more popular or more living. They used to go out on celebrations once a month into the Lurkwood and just hunt. Now, the reason they became unpopular when they were Lycans was that the hunt started as just a fun game, and then it became a genuine hunt for slaves and people, which is why the family got killed off so quickly and so maliciously.
Quietly, what the fuck? What a bunch of cracks.
Yeah, it was interesting looking through the house. Some really interesting relics.
So there's some people there who probably are right and just a little bit happy there's no one around hunting them.
Or it could be Solus hanging off the whole Burntree thing.
You think he's living in a little cottage in the middle of the woods after what?
And if,
I
he,
mean, I don't-
highly doubt that.
and if he is, I've got some oil left.
That's also quite true. I still need to go
Oh,
back
that'd
for
be
that.
quite fun in a wood, wouldn't it? Best way to clear the Lockwood? By that.
I mean, I'm hoping.
Good.
The XP
Good.
that would come off that.
Yeah.
Something to do good thing.
I mean, it would clear the Lockwood.
I don't think any. That's the destruction of an entire ecosystem.
Chaotic good. You're welcome. Solves the problem. Just ends justify the means. Sorted.
I don't think it does in this case.
Dabs.
Don't you dab at me, Klaxis.
I didn't dab. I just said the word dab. I was actually getting a cloth and getting my sweat off. Bitch.
So I'm enjoying this conversation that we're all having in terms of like.
Are we all just really tired or something? Like, what is happening?
I'm enjoying the conversation that we're having about the history of the Lockwood, but this doesn't answer our question of do we want to go.
I think we should, possibly. I thought we go towards the small.
I mean, if anything, it means we've got a place to stay if it's a friendly.
Exactly. And if not, we've got to fight.
Works for me.
Klaxis can go first, I think.
Yes, come on then.
Sweet.
I
It's
mean,
much too much.
with the greatest
however.
respect, so I'm not saying this just because, you know, helped rebuild him. Surely we could send the big metal guy, starts pointing at Pivot, and go, if we're going to go
I'm
send
well aware.
I'm
that
not
is
saying about
literally what
you.
he's here for.
I'm not saying about you. I was going with the fact that we're sending a squishy human into, no offence, but blades don't go through him as much as they go through you.
I mean, dare I suggest that we send Boggle to have a look first?
I mean,
when we get there,
Or
like,
Truffle.
Like when we get there, we could like do it. But
send the both of them if you want.
you're like
Race you.
we are like 3 hours.
Takes Boggle down, or takes Boggle, sits him in his pocket and goes, right, you gotta do this for honour, and you've got to do this because she is gonna gloat like a motherfucker.
Like you two know,
You're
like,
not going to win.
like a 2 hour walk away, right? You both know that.
Oh
Right?
yeah, we'll get closer first.
I'm gonna say because otherwise you're just gonna lose them like instantly. So
I'm sending you in there, buddy. Make me proud. Puts him down on the floor.
you're like 2 hours.
And Boggle just starts running into the Lockwood. I'm testing the capabilities of him. I'm
If
Go
he
on then, I'll
falls,
send Truffle.
if he
as
falls
well.
in a slightly big puddle, you are fucked.
takes out his bag a little monocle, much like Hororae's
Yeah.
goggles, and places it on. He goes, cool. Currently, oh god, ants are attacking him. Shit.
Oh no!
I knew I should have given him something better. Anyway,
Sponsored by
Yeah, I'm
Leigh.
sending Truffle after, and she's got a flying speed of 40, so
Yes.
she's pretty nippy.
cool, that's fine. You send Truffle in. You putting your goggles on.
Yes,
Thank you. And you're flipping over to
yes.
awesome. So you guys are also walking.
Yeah,
What's
I'm
happening?
going to turn to like Suzy and be like, should we just pretend to put goggles on because apparently it's like the fancy thing to do. So.
I mean, it's only because she's made this thing where I can see out of Boggle's eyes from. Sorry, we've made it. She invented it. I just copied it like a prick.
If we shake Boggle, can we read letters in him? No different words.
I can make that later.
Like in his head, like there's a load of like 9 letters.
Imitation
in
is the highest form of flattery, so I'll take.
I'm shy already.
So. Okay.
Onward!
so
To the
so
smoky smoke.
you guys start walking in. We'll go with you see this about an hour into the travel. Your vision starts to show a small cottage in the middle of a clearing.
Mm-hmm.
It has a little porch. There is a sign saying "soup free today." No, to make a reference.
It wasn't soup, it was stew.
I know. I was
tasty.
doing it as a joke. Trust me, as someone who can recount the fucking entire campaign to you, I know what it was. Anyway, either way,
I can't remember my PIN number.
some days I forget to eat, but I could tell you exactly what happened in campaign 1 from episode 1 to episode 74. Anyway,
We're all flawed.
This is so flawed.
I mean, look at me. I don't forget to eat that much. Anyway,
Oh.
It's cool. I've been eating for you as well.
I'm sorry, I have a knob. Anyway,
You're beautiful though.
No matter what
Beautiful
they say.
knob.
anyway, so
Cheaply.
about 20 minutes into this walk, however, just before that, Ellipsis picks up Boggle because he's made a new colony, and the ants are working for him now.
Boggle got distracted and started a colony. It sounds like 18th century Britain.
I know, but for nerds, anyway. Anna was already for nerds. Anyway,
Anna 1407? 1707. 1407. Okay.
one of them. There's so many. Either way, so he picks up Boggle. You continue an hour into the travel. You see this cottage. There is nothing in the path that he has travelled along that you notice in terms of like creatures or anything, and there is nothing untoward about the cottage, such as like massive scythes hanging above it, ready to swing down, or anything like that. That is what he sees.
Is there a window?
He has just got to the cottage. And is currently floating in front of the cottage is clearing, so things have not gone up to. However, there is indeed a small window at the front of the door. There's a door and a window, one level, about 80 foot wide at most.
It's a bit like the cottage, so I can picture it from the one from Evil Dead, that sort of size.
Yeah, it's kind of like a one-room, kind of slightly American dream porch, stairs. Yes.
Swing set, barbecue.
Retriever?
No.
I was about to say something very...
Retriever? I barely knew her.
No, I was about to say something very bad, so I'm glad I stopped myself. Come over
now
to
we
the...
all want to know.
Come over to the Discord to hear what Stephen was going to say. Anyway, yes, that's what you can see through Truffle's eyes.
Too far away to see it.
To see, and also there is netting and such in the window, so you can't see him. And it then turns around and starts flitting back through the tree line towards you.
So I need to invent a way to communicate with said construct from a distance.
Megaphone.
Walkie-talkie.
I know you're being stealthy, but can you see anything? Over! How goes the stealth mission? I'll get 2 megaphones.
Uglida, I'm compromised. Anyway,
cool. So it is indeed a house.
Yep.
A small cottage. Can't tell you what's inside. There is a window, but apparently Truffle didn't feel like going to have a look.
Cool.
I'm going to work on that.
Well, that's fine.
You told him to go see what was happening, and then he comes back.
I will do better next time.
As we get closer, I'm going to take my shield off. Not the sword, just the shield.
Yeah, you take the shield. Cool.
There are absolutely no folk stories that start off like this with sweet-looking small cottages.
No, not at all.
No,
none.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I mean, I'm not that dumb. Just checking. See if I go, oh really? That's quite nice, but no.
So glad you understand
I mean, we're now gonna have a question as we walk for the next hour or two about cynicism. Are you sure that because there is a quaint little cottage in the forest, there's gonna be something nasty out there? Like, if I wanted something nasty, I'd head another hour or two up that way to the labyrinth, where freaking purple worms live.
I mean, there's cynicism, and then there's I don't have enough evidence yet. Okay. So.
Gonna say, who hasn't left Luskin for? Anyway.
Ain't got no evidence.
Either way,
folk songs and stories or folk songs.
Onwards we go. Let's.
You continue walking for the
I'm
next
not going fast.
hour or so. Ellipsis, happily hearing this, just starts walking a little bit faster.
How far into the walk? Like, I'm wondering if Truffle comes back and I'll be like, see if you can see what's inside.
He would get back, especially with speed and such. You've got another hour and a half walk towards it if you're walking directly at it. No, we said about 2 hours walk directly, so you've walked an hour. You have about an hour back, so he would meet you about 20 minutes into the walk. So he has another 40 minutes. You have another 40 minutes before the thing when he returns to you.
I'd like to see if Truffle can see.
Cool.
See what's
Does another
inside.
circle round and in front of you, and then zits back off. You see it flying up over the tree line, then comes back down onto the cottage, and then just zooms down the chimney, and then comes into the clearing, into the building, and he sees a quaint little like study almost or studio flat, where there is a kitchen and a bed and everything in the same room, and should definitely be charged for £600 a month. Yeah.
I think Steve might live in a studio flat that he's unhappy with.
But there's economy, eh? Anyway, looking around.
The price of the city centre.
D&D is an escape. D&D is an escape. D&D is an escape.
He is making the world too. Anyway, flits in, sees a very quaint-looking kitchen area and such. Lots of lace and cross stitch has been done and hung up on the walls. And sat by the fire is sat by the fire is a at least from the vantage point that Truffle can see, there is a small halfling figure just sat very carefully opening the next page of a very ancient looking book. It seems to be very quiet.
Okay.
It then zips back up the chimney and comes back towards you. You meet it, I'd say you meet it about 5-10 minutes outside the clearing as you guys start to see the cottage coming up as well.
Like, I know halflings live for a long time, but did the halfling look particularly...
Fairly oldish.
Fairly oldish.
Yes. Yeah. You'd make a nature check for me quickly.
22.
22 looks about 70 or 80.
Oh, okay. But like, because they lived to like 200.
Yeah.
So still like 70 or 80.
But it's quite old in terms of it doesn't look like a child like Ashlyn did at the age of 20.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were saying like
they age
in human
years
to a point, they'd be 70 or 80.
They age to a point and then they become an adult until until a certain age, and then they get to about 70 or 80 and start to become old looking. And that last 100 years is literally them becoming from like looking like Bilbo from Lord of the Rings to looking like Dungeon Master from D&D's cartoon. This is meta. Oh god, my brain hurts.
Cool.
Yeah.
Halfling.
Halfling? Haven't heard anything bad about halflings.
Oh, they're quite nice.
They taste nice.
Sweet. We're gonna let that happen.
Glad you know that.
You've eaten a halfling.
No, I've met trolls that have.
You asked them what they
Okay.
Cook them,
taste
squish
like.
them, eat them with potatoes.
Oh, that famous mortal.
Yeah.
Much cross stitch, and
Oh, we're fine. Swat away.
I mean,
Swat away. No one has ever done cross stitch, and sorry,
you
I'm
know.
sounding like Suzy.
Sweet. So, can we see the cottage?
Yeah, it's
I'm just gonna
currently about
wander up.
5-10 feet out of the clearing's like edge sort of thing.
I'm just gonna happily wander up. I'll put my fingers through my beard first and attempt to comb it to make it more respectable. So.
That's cool. You step up to the door, just knock on it. Cool. A couple of minutes pass, and then the door opens.
slow moving.
A couple of minutes pass, and then the door opens, and this old halfling, quite wrinkled, grey hair, or brownish, going into salt and pepper, kind of hair with grey shots coming from the temples back, fairly quite good posture. Stood quite tall for a halfling.
3'8".
Just kind of looks up at you in a simple garments. Hi.
Hi, hello. We're sorry to bother you.
Yeah.
The cottage. We're traversing to the Lockwood. We want to look for somewhere to stay for the night.
Oh, well, there's a travel lodge about.
I think we'd rather die. That was established about. You weren't there. I'm so sorry.
No, it was Holiday Inn.
Oh yeah, but there's one
Yeah.
shite. Yeah. What's the sun one? Anyway, like sun inns, which is like.
Anyway,
That is
right.
Stay in a crevice.
How many are there of you?
Four people.
Okay, 4 people.
A giant brass thing,
That's probably not going to get through the door.
and then a tiny brass thing. 2 tiny brass things, but that's just like hand luggage.
Okay. I'm suggesting that your large construct thing could live outside.
And he's probably used to that. Yeah.
Alright.
And I'm
Sure, he'll be fine.
not too sure. You guys have come out of the clearing into the clearing. Sorry.
Yeah.
mate?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Everything.
Now
that
that
he
Klaxis
sees it.
isn't dead.
Yes.
You're okay.
He then looks around and goes, yes. So no. I don't think the big guy could come in and point at Pivot. And you guys, although, have you got beds and such? Because I've got one bed. I haven't got anything.
We've got
For other
just
people.
a floor.
We got bed.
Sheltered.
Well,
Something
that's
warmer.
Floor.
lovely.
It's not nice out there.
Okay. I mean, you can use our floor for the evening.
You got like roll mats, it's fine, don't worry.
Okay, I'll warn you.
Sorry, before I didn't catch your name, I'm so sorry.
Alan.
Sweet. I'm going to leave that there. Klaxis, we got Hororae, we got Planchett, we got 4 dots.
Awesome. Sounds wonderful. She's
lovely.
just heard what I said his name
It's
is.
lovely to meet you. You seem like a top bloke.
Thank you. I'll warn you all now that Suzy will be back soon, so you'll just don't sleep too near the fire because she likes to sleep by the fire.
So who's Suzy?
Suzy's my displacer beast.
Oh, that's quite cute. Are they nice? Sweet.
I mean, it's a nightmare to wrangle, but at the same time, she's getting on in years, so. Oh, actually, this might be quite fun. Actually, I'll save the surprise for you.
Anyway, sweet. Cheers. Can I just do insight?
Yep.
Because so far, lovely. Don't worry, I rolled particularly well, and that's a 9.
Fairly
I've got
honest.
+6 on insight.
Fairly happy with the world. He doesn't seem to have anything he's trying to hide from you.
I mean,
I'm not going
He's
to
an
ask
old
to roll
guy.
because he just did, but I'm well suspicious.
I mean, all I'm saying is
You
that
can
it's
both roll insight if
Am
you
I
like.
allowed to?
I'm
Yeah.
not trying.
I'm not trying
You're
to
not
fudge
bothering.
it. I'm just. I mean, it's
Expecting-
appropriately shit, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
I was expecting a level of weirdness from somebody who lives alone in the middle of the Lockwood.
Oh, you
So-
Yeah, I got an 8.
Oh, yeah.
Still appropriately trustworthy.
Really
Just
trustworthy.
a lovely old halfling.
Can I come on in?
Yeah, you're all welcome to come on in, have yourselves. If you don't mind washing your plates after use, or any cups or anything you're using, that's fine. And one's in.
That's really kind of you. Thank you very much.
That's fine.
So, do you want any money for food or anything?
Well,
Well, we are taking over this
This isn't-
lovely person's
this
house.
isn't a place of rent and hire. I built this
Ours-
cottage by myself, so it's.
Rock.
I was just
wondering. Sorry.
Fuck's sake. I just thought it might be the polite thing to do because I know there is a lot of us. And
No, that's fine. If you'd like to come in, sorry.
Thank you very much.
Sweet, I don't know, I'm ducking under the door. Is it a normal size
It's a
door?
normal sized door, about 6 foot tall.
Sweet, did you build this place?
Yeah, I built it with
Because
my bare hands.
You're quite I don't want to say it. This is built for like human
Well,
size, whereas you're like no.
Yeah, there used to be 2 of us, but you know how it is these days.
Nope.
There's only one of us now.
Okay, sweet.
I'm
Oh,
sorry
cut.
to hear that.
No,
just
I approve
shut
it,
up.
sorry.
Shut up.
I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, just speak.
Come on in, and you guys come in and see that same kind of like idyllic kind of cottage in the middle of the woods with cross stitch and such. Looking around, you see that the cross stitch now you're looking is literally of scenes around Faerun. So you see the labyrinth entry with
so
like.
uncomfortable because this is from a different campaign, but I don't know that.
Just breathe. Breathe through it. In 1, 2, out 1, 2.
Sorry, what?
Don't know what you mean.
This is from a different. I've never ran a campaign with this in at all. I ran one with paintings with a guy that stole from Critical Role.
True.
Sorry, Leigh.
It's such an amalgamation of a few different things, and that just makes me so uncomfortable.
It's almost like he just tries to make this world fun to exist in.
Alright, sweet. I'm gonna just stop you right there. Before you metagame anymore.
I know.
And
That's why I'm not saying or doing
you
anything.
notice that suddenly you are level 2 again. Anyway,
Sweet.
so yeah, you see that there's different landscapes and such that have been cross-stitched, and occasionally different beasts and such that have been quite nicely done. Either way, you help yourselves to the kitchen area if you need. He genuinely just kind of goes and sits by the fire and just picks up his book again and just lets you potter around as best you want.
Can I see what he's reading?
You can indeed. You see that he is simply reading 100 Great Taverns by Conway Tweeter. You look around and you see there is basically a wall, just a small alcove wall type area next to the fire, which is a couple of bookshelves, and just as you're wandering around, he doesn't seem to be minding. You just pop over and look, and there is genuinely just a collection of different information books in terms of tourist information, there is a couple of fantasy novels where he has apparently indulged himself in one of these frivolous campaigns where people run off and do silly things. Anyway, and other than that, there's just a lot of just random tat that fills up the other bookshelves and such.
Can I have a look at the cross-stitch pictures? Is there anything of interest, or are they just...
So, like I said, there is one of the labyrinth entry with some form of like fey creatures flitting about above them, but you can't tell because of the small kind of like backstitch design that they've used for those bits. I can use actual terminology. I'm that guy.
We're all proud.
It's all right because I'm going to go home and eat steak later because I'm also Nick Offerman. Anyway, hold the drink, it makes it help. Anyway,
Okay,
if you want to help Steve, you can call us on 011. Anyway, you look around
please
and
give the patron, and we can make Steve go to therapy. Just £10 a month can give this man a new life.
Other locations you can see are, there is one of Waterdeep, just like an aerial view type map type thing. There is one of the spine of the world, but with like every now and then you kind of look and there are little heads popping out of like a dragon head, and then like a beholder's head sticking out, and like little like almost Where's Wally type thing.
Yay!
And then you look around and you go, I can't see him. And Alan comes up and goes, oh, you've been staring at that for 20 minutes, you Wally. Anyway, anyway.
How long have you had, did you say Doozy?
Doozy. She is about 24 years old now. She was the daughter of my first displacer beast, Rambo. But Rambo, unfortunately, he met a dreadful end, fighting the mother of Doozy, because they're quite possessive creatures.
Yes, I was just thinking it's quite a feat to have a displacer beast as a pet.
You seem to be wrangling a massive construct just fine.
Well, I built him, so it's.
I just built a friendship with Doozy.
Cute.
That is really, really cute. I just want you to know I'm trying really hard not to ask, can I roll like a nature check on the mating? Like being of displacer beasts, it's so fucking hard!
This is going to make this next bit even more fun.
I am ready when you need it.
So,
what is it with you and animal cock?
Look, he just said that. I was just. Oh, never mind. It's really.
What is it? Like, to the show, you're like, I want to know about animal sexuality, please.
I'm saying nothing because I'll just get
chastised, berated,
picked on.
Okay, is there anything else that anyone wants to chat with, or do you just all go sit and do your thing?
Can I ask him where Doozy is?
I'm
sorry.
No,
can I ask him where Doozy is?
No, it's fine. I can either just tell you what he says, or I can play it out for you if you'd like.
Oh, you just tell me where he is.
Right, so you come over and have a chat with him, sit on one of the other armchairs that are surrounding the fire, and ask him, he explains. Well, Doozy is currently out finding her pups. She has recently gave birth to, I think, 2 displacer kittens, and essentially they go off. They're quite for if someone was wanting to like roll for nature to see how displacer beasts work, she doesn't have to. I've had to explain that displacer beasts essentially are quite harsh parents, where they send out their kittens immediately into the wild to fend for themselves, and then they go and see if they have either a free meal of the body or if they have a kitten to bring back home. After about a week or 2, they grow quite quickly.
Wait, sweet, that's not dark at all, but that's it's nature, isn't it?
It's nature.
Well, it's not for the fittest.
From the mini monster manual, they're really cute.
No, I was just saying it makes sense. Survival of the fittest, the best adapted to the climate.
Coming back from this conversation, you hear just like a low sound of paws on the veranda area outside, and then the door just kind of squeaks open as the tentacle of a displacer beast undoes the latch mechanism on the door, and a very greying looking displacer beast, normally like a bluish black jet kind of colour in their fur. It is greying and old. That comes in a displacer beast and just very lazily comes and just lollops in front of the fire. The tentacles just kind of reaching over and patting Alan on the knee and then resting back on it. And then a couple of minutes later, you just hear as a single displacer kitty just comes bounding in. It is about the size of a Labrador, full size. Just bounds in, piercing green eyes, jet bluish black fur, two little tentacles just flipping around, kind of almost crazily and without control, just sort of flipping around, and every now and then it just kind of buzzes in position where its image kind of blurs and then comes back to normal. And it just runs up and then gambols over Doozy and nearly gets caught in the fire before the tentacles catch onto the top of the fireplace, and it just swings over the top of the fire and then back out and lands on the carpet. And it just drops and kind of looks around.
Oh my god! I want to sit on the floor and just be like.
Why can't I see this ending up in roll for damage? Why can't I see it ending up in that?
Do you remember what happened around this campaign?
This time, oh no!
It's happening!
No! Oh, so rude.
I'm not doing it, guys.
Too late, she said she wants to fuss it.
You go down and you fuss it.
No!
You fuss it, and it breaks into 1,000 pieces as you realise you're in a beholder's nightmare. No, you get down on your knees and you just kind of place your hand out, and it just kind of playfully yaps at you. Doesn't try to bite you, but like if it could gum, it would gum. But it has teeth.
I've been gummed painfully.
It doesn't catch your hand. It just all yaps at you and then stops, and then just kind of sits watching you. Two tentacles floating inside of it. You start gesturing with your hands to this. And it just kind of watches in amazement back and forth with its head, just kind of sitting back and forth like a cat watching a red light on the floor.
Do I have any shit? Oh, I'm excited there.
Do you have a laser pen?
I don't, but I do have Mage Hand. I'm summoning Mage Hand, and I'm gonna play with it like somebody plays with a laser pen. I'm fucking playing with it. Fucking kidding.
Cool. So that's Suzy. Anything else there? That's this campaign sorted. We stay here forever.
We stay here forever. So just wandering around. I know you said there's like a Spine of the World one,
Yeah.
the Hostage and I forgot the other one that you said.
Spine of the World, Entrance of the Labyrinth, and Waterdeep's map.
Just those three.
Yeah. There's a couple of brief. On the table in the kitchen, you can see there's a couple of designs that you realise that he has been making the designs himself and then slowly making them into cross stitches afterwards. You see that the current work on the desk where there's kind of like a grid design, and he's slowly, painfully going through and colouring them in rather than using symbols. He's colouring them in through the colour he wants, and then you find that there is a case full of different colours of thread and such just next to this, and no Ada just yet. But
sorry, you literally just said Waterdeep, Spine of the World, and
Labyrinth Entrance. You see the current one he is working on seems to be a map of the Pioneer Coast, which is essentially the small villages, collection of villages just north of Luskan, around the edge of the Spine of the World and the coast of the Sword Coast.
these must take you a phenomenal amount of time.
Well, I don't really do much other than sit and drink tea and occasionally have to go hunt for food and stuff. But yes.
Sort of Alan Bennett.
It's not Alan Bennett. It's a halfling called Alan.
I know.
I wouldn't mind it at all.
You haven't even asked him his last name. Why would you say that his last name was Benet?
Alan.
Because you want me to hurt you.
Tame. Alan Tame.
Oh dear.
No, I've got quite a fair amount of time. I've stopped doing work for hire and stuff like that. So it's just for me now.
What did you used to do?
Well, we used to do like this sort of thing and gestures to the pattern on the table for royalty and such like that. We'd design something they want and we'd make that up and then send it off to them, or used to occasionally dabble, and I say dabble very lightly. With me and Doozy used to go out and we'd do like hunting explorations through the Lurkwood. Once or twice we've been down into the labyrinth, which was quite scary, but at the same time, as long as you don't go too far down. I mean, the first 100 feet down is easy. It gets a little scary after that.
Why did you and your friend decide to live here?
Well,
There's not like a lot around. If you like, amenities such like a shop or
the Lurkwood made him feel comfortable. He felt out of place in the cities and such like that, and the Lurkwood was the most kind of. It gave him the most access to like ruggedness and wilderness, but it also meant that he didn't have to deal with like his description. And I disagree when I say this sort of thing, but he would say something like the High Forest or Neverwinter Forest were sissy forests because they just had like owl bears and stuff like that. And whereas this one has a bit of a kick to it, as he used to say.
What was his name?
That's a question I can't seem to answer.
Okie dokie. I'm gonna check the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
Roll insight.
So
All of you roll insight.
we roll.
Oh, fuck me. Sideways. Why would I bother?
The new t-shirt from 19. 19.
4.
Or depending on Hannah's.
17.
As you've both got up there, you both get a sense that
We know.
you know, listen away if you must. But
I'm gonna write this down.
Where's
That's
the
true. I'm
song?
the chronicler.
You're the
You're
chronicler.
chronicling.
love
I'm
it.
the Chronicler. It's the
Meeting.
worst Spider-Man villain. I'm the Chronicler. I can tell you what you did last summer.
And mainly it was masturbate over Mary Jane.
Creep.
Anyway, Spider-Gwen was where we were all at, don't worry.
Spider-Gwen.
Inside the Steve's life? I don't know.
Cool, anyway.
And circling background.
Anyway. So, you both get the sense that he is not lying to you. You genuinely see the look of someone who is trying to recall information, but it's a bit like when you've lost your glasses and they're on your head, not actually physically using them, but they're on you, and you are looking around the entire building and you can't seem to find them, and you are sat getting angry with yourself, and you get the sense he's internally chastising himself for not being able to remember the name.
Can I do a arcana? I was literally about to say exactly the same thing. Arcana check.
Yep. You'd like to do arcana checks on what?
On him.
On him?
To see if I can see if it's magical, but
Yeah.
I literally rolled
Can I do a
2.
medicine check to
So
see if it's,
that's a
a
whole
problem?
8.
You could roll a medicine check. 8, 12. Lovely.
22.
Nope, not a medical problem. For you two, even though quite low rolls, imagine if Chernobyl had an afterlife of arcane energy rather than radiation.
Photo.
He is. Oh well.
He is buzzing.
He is buzzing.
He is
Oh,
off
dear.
his tits.
He's like if he were a stick of plutonium, the arcane energy would be rattling the guts.
Yeah.
What did your? I'm sorry. Was your partner who lived here with you before?
Yes, kind of a partner. We used to. We preferred the term like civil partner.
Okay.
What
did he do?
So he used to be the one that would. He taught me how to design. He gestures again to these designs on the walls and such. And he showed me how to design these, but he also used to have this ability to. He used to be able to step into the design and kind of change things. almost. Like I said, sorry, that sounds a bit arty when I say that. He used to be able to reimagine the scene, sort of thing, and it seemed to make it work for the better.
Does this ring any like history bells to me?
I would go with roll a history check with disadvantage because you don't really know who this person is. Yeah.
Oh fuck! Oh well. That is 11.
11. There is the only thing that you could pull out of your information is that there is tales in the history books of scryers and like fortune tellers who have the ability to essentially use art rather than like crystal ball or anything like more. It's kind of a modern reworking of the scrying art. Where they can essentially make a painting or draw some sort of like sculpture or something like that, and essentially then edit it, which then reacts to the real world. So currently, for example, the labyrinth entrance, you can see that there are fey creatures flitting about above it. However, the fey creatures cannot exist on the material plane because of the fact that they have it's a bit like the amphibious feat on most creatures, where they need to be submerged in water. They need to be submerged in fey magic to exist, essentially.
So the picture of the labyrinth is basically like 2 layers.
Yeah, so you can see the labyrinth, and then you can see an added thing on top of it. And now, that just because of that example, as you're currently wandering around looking at things as well, and you see that one again, and you start to notice that the age of the thread on the labyrinth entry is slightly faded compared to the fey creatures that are above it.
Right. It's quite a thought you had.
Yeah, it made it impossible to have an argument with him, but at the same time, there's a reason that we both agreed that I would stay here and he would go off wherever he was going.
I mean, while we're chatting so friendly, I'm not really so what's that in? Do you know what I mean? Like Bantry, because we've seen it a couple of times.
Bantry used to be the Lycan family that lived in Longsaddle about 100 years ago, ended, used to hunt up here.
We walked in Longsaddle earlier, so like a saying that on me was one day.
Nobody's lived in that village in about 80 years at most. So.
No one's going to live in it ever again.
Oh, I mean...
So the forest and the snow did a lot of damage.
I see. I mean, the man doves getting dressed. Anyway, it just kind of okay. Sorry, I'm feeling quite tired after this conversation.
Thank you for entertaining us.
I apologise if I snore. I haven't had company in a while, so help yourselves to the house. Anything that is mine is yours. Anything you need, just you guys have given me company for the first time in about 20 years, so I think that's payment enough.
Gee, that's sad. Fucking hell.
And then he slaughters them systematically. No.
You go sleep. Shall we?
Yeah.
So should we go wait till he's asleep? Hello. And then we'll go to bed as well.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
Don't worry, nothing's going. Oh, this sounds terrible. Nothing's going to happen while you're asleep. We're all friendly people.
Klaxis.
Right?
Stop talking.
No.
Yeah, there's a thing that people say where bad luck follows them and stuff like that. Maybe with our current track record, something bad is going to happen tonight.
You know what? I'm just going to ignore all of you and continue bonding with this kitten.
Okay, you go
Thank
on with the
you.
kitten.
I know we are very safe and secure in this house. I'm still feeling like a watch might be.
I'll go first.
I mean,
I mean, I can go first because I'm
you
going to
can
be
do
at
a
full
watch
early.
if you want, but I've got it
I
covered.
mean, but you won't be watching. You'll be playing with the displacer kitten.
Don't,
Kind of undermines.
Alan kind of clears his throat as he's over here and he goes, don't worry, we've got it sorted as well. Mittens will be watching the...
Mittens?
Mittens is, he's quite territorial. He likes to stay outside. Mittens,
Is the other is that the gun?
no, he's something else.
Sorry, what?
He's
Should we stay inside?
whatever you do, don't travel a mile out with weapons open. In the evening, he gets territorial during the evening. He's
going to tell Pivot not to stay too far.
Yeah.
like, if you're just wandering, that's fine. He might come and snuffle you or something like that. But at the same time, he's very territorial. Likes to look after.
What is Mittens?
Promise not to go hurt him.
Ah, yes, sweet.
He's a grey render.
Oh, that's so adorable.
Like,
Oh, it's a great.
grey render, they're quite territorial creatures. They have 6 yellow eyes, quite a bit like a rhino on their hind legs, but without the horn.
Hey, that sounds completely safe.
The Lurkwood is its territory, or his territory. I've called him Mittens just because it kind of felt a bit more playful than, that creature coming to kill me.
Well, thanks. We'll make sure to
Yeah,
stay.
Keep weapons like sheathed if you go outside more than a mile out of. He doesn't come too close to the cottage, but if you go a mile out of the cottage with weapons drawn, he might get a little aggressive.
Yeah, I've only got my umbrella, really.
Right, that's good. Sweet. Thanks for the heads up.
Lovely. Right, so it's about 8:30 now. Is there anything else you want to do before we quickly jump into a break? Because I could desperately use the name.
Then.
All of us.
Isn't that what you wanted to know? I gotta go do weed.
I gotta go excrete.
Your turn. I'm not going to share. I'm okay with.
She's gonna go to
No mail. No mail.
Anyway, so we'll go for a break. Come back in about half an hour. You can pick up anything. Half an hour, 15 minutes. Excuse me, my brain is falling asleep on the feet.
I was going to say,
come back
you
for
need
about.
that long?
Come back for.
Wow. Don't ask. Adam once abandoned me in the middle of
Okay,
asking.
I didn't know Adam was wearing that shirt, so yes. Anyway, come back for about 1:45. We'll pick up the second half of this, and we shall see what happens. If anyone has any discussions, if anything happens in the middle of the night, if someone may get absconded, who knows? In this
I have
perilous
communicated to
game.
Pivot not to go anywhere,
Yep, that's fine.
just in case I forget by the time we get back.
That's fine. Cool. We're going for a break. See you in a second.
Bye. Leverton's party's the 6th, isn't it?
Hmm?
The 6th of Mr. Leverton's party, isn't it?
The smell of adventure!
It's not for the giggling girlfriend or 6th, come on. Damn.
Ow.
So, good evening.
It's not even the kind of stories.
And welcome to a badminton known hard to.
I have to eat popcorn like a human and not like just throw it in my face now.
I mean, you can.
I mean, I did like that. There's no way to eat popcorn like a normal person. Ah! Ah!
I wasn't there, please, can I say?
You take like a whole handful and you just like.
That was the most delicate.
No, I know. It wasn't delicate the last time around.
You ever like eating something really, really mad, like.
It was like bits
No,
falling
I'm
out
sorry,
and
I'm
like
crazy.
flicking up, and I had to like raise a hand to like ward off all the bits that were.
You're not a real person if you don't eat popcorn like off you.
I eat most things off me because I have to fish out between the tits, so.
No.
Welcome back to
Especially
Alignment
fish.
Part 2.
Oh,
Try this again, we're going to have the same thing where I have to say it 5, 6 times. I'll go crazy because I've just given up. And then it'll be fun. Anyway, so, last we left off is the toilet break, because it was literally everyone went to the toilet.
Literally everybody.
Yeah, we all pooped.
The reason that we were 5 minutes late is because we all pooped.
I can't remember if I flushed the toilet.
You can't remember if you flushed the toilet.
It happens a lot.
After
sorry.
these messages, we'll
I'm
be right
really
back.
sorry if I forgot.
We were said.
Also, about half of hers are floaters, so.
What? I did not poo. You're in luck.
Anywho, so
I met
the
Obi.
guys entered the Lurkwood, and I met a lovely halfling by the name of
I
Faerun,
tidied for you.
who apparently had a displaced beast.
I'm on board.
Thank you, darling. Had a displaced beast pet, and apparently had just given. He was literally having kittens.
I know.
One had survived and had returned home, and he
Oh yeah,
informed
we
them
didn't
there was a
even
grey
mention that one day.
No.
No.
we were informed that there was a grey render called Mittens that was looking after the Lurkwood, and essentially that was where we left off as Alan told them that he was tired and wanted to go to bed. And they all said, yeah, that's fine, and all started to roll insights and like stealth checks just to make sure they don't die in the evening, because apparently he's Alan Bennett and we're all going to have to see him turn into an evil monster named Kyra. Yeah.
We're just used. It's like with the challenge. We were expecting ultimate pain and suffering, then it was actually quite nice, and you've just.
Only one person died.
Giving him hints.
No! He's just. We're at a point now where we assume the worst. He's conditioned us into that, and now he's fucking with us by actually giving us nice things.
So what you're saying is it's typical like abuse.
Yes! We have stopped that
Alignment
syndrome.
Alone is also letting out a podcast called Gaslighting.
That was just silence.
Yeah, I think you find I didn't say that at all.
Anywho, we joined this back. Alan's just gone to bed. If there's anything you'd like to do before sleeping and stuff like that, or if there's anything that any of you would like to do or say that one of you keeps a watch or something
I
like
don't really
that.
said we don't need to watch, but I'm going to keep on watching.
Yeah.
That's fine, you say a watch.
I want to.
I was literally saying, please can we do watches, because I'm.
Okay, so just give me an idea of who's doing the 2 watches of the night.
I'll watch. I'm looking for shit anyway.
I'll do one.
I'm bonding with the kitten.
Oh my god, he's not going to sleep.
Cool. So, this will be fun.
Oh god.
I told you, he just does it to fuck with us. I'm sure it'll just be really nice.
Suzy.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Actually, for all of you, but also, so you guys sit
So
down.
my
You
humiliation is-
who's taking first watch? Sorry, Klaxis, lovely Klaxis. You sit down. Hororae, you get out your camping gear and fall asleep. Suzy,
Ma.
what's playing with the kitten?
Ma.
There's a moment where it feels like the entire room starts to smell of sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to feel a little woozy in yourself. But you notice that Klaxis looks like he's falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And Ellipsis looks like he's falling asleep, and everyone is sleeping around you, but this kitten is just constant. It is happy and bouncy, and then it just stops and looks at you, and it just starts to talk at you Yeah, hello, darling.
No!
So it's been a while since that from Zoe. I'm sorry. How have you been?
Hi, boss. Been good. And it's been really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen so many cool things. I saw there was a dragon, it was like Faerun, he was really big and cool. And I've been to like lots of like really cool heritage places. And there was Burn Tree. That was interesting. Like, I've only ever heard of Burn Tree, you know, the whole lycanthropy thing and stuff. And there was this guy who said that he was like the heir of Burn Tree, and I was like, no, that's fucking bullshit, mate. And then it was bullshit.
As you finish,
I've never felt so much for a patron.
yes. As you say, this one of the tentacles comes down and just places on your knee. Is like there. That's
I'm
okay.
surprised it isn't just going.
Yeah, I wanted to, but she then stopped talking. Yes, that is fascinating. And have you been practicing your spells and such like that as well?
Yeah.
You've got into much combat. Have you?
A little bit. There was an undead beholder. That was exciting.
That's fascinating, but at the same time very scary.
Yes. It was definitely wasn't one of the things on my list of things to see and do in Faerun. But you know, it was a learning curve and a half. Met a lady with snake hair.
Medusa.
Yeah, she's not keen on middle management apparently. Looked a bit.
They never really are.
Yeah, I told her to go and, you know, become a CEO or something, but she's a bit of a dick, so...
Oh, smooth.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Sorry, yes.
So that was fun, and it's been good. Everybody's been good. We set fire to a house, an entire village. That was exciting. Nobody was in it, obviously. They were all dead. Pivot killed them all.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to berate you on the deaths of many people because that wasn't your fault, for one.
No, I did not do it.
Say for once. Sorry, my head on this.
It's coming, Klaxis. It's coming. Anyway, and I am very happy that you are out and you are exploring the world because you kept saying how much you wanted to see the world, and already in the past few days you have seen so much apparently.
Yeah, thank you for helping to do this.
Which is why I would like to have a quick chat with you and give you a further errand or like a job for you to get you out and about more.
Sure thing. Go for it, boss.
I need you to find an opening to Stygia.
Open to Stygia. Alright.
Yes.
We're travelling around a bit. There's this whole, we're going to like Menzoberranzen and stuff, and there's like
Okay, those places are never going to have them. You've got to find it. The problem is that opening to Stygia is very hard to come by. You can either get there by getting to that city the DM can never remember the name of. I think it was Tamblin. Google will tell me later. Anyway, or you can by travelling to Tamblin, or you can just quickly check. Or you're going to have to find an entry. Yes, it was Tamblin. Tantlin. Or you can find your way there by plane shifting, or a plane shift plus spell type thing, because plane shifting you can decide which plane of existence you want to go to, but technically Stygia isn't a plane, it's just one of the realms in the 9 hells. So you have to find one that you can pinpoint where you want to go. Now, I'm not saying for a second that you need to go out and do all this ridiculous amount of work for no payment. What I'm suggesting is, as I've already shown you, I can give you quite interesting powers. What if I could increase those powers tenfold?
Sounds exciting.
What I'm suggesting is a partnership in which I give you more power and more ability to protect yourself than you can currently, and in that instance, you will just come to Stygia for a performance review, if you will.
Oh, yeah, it's fair enough. There's only so much you can understand about what's happening and stuff in these short meetings that we have. I totally get it, boss.
You're very understanding. Could I ask you to do some research for me as well, though?
Sure, go for it. What do you want?
Lovely. I need you to find out about just You should find out about this person who lives in Stygia. His name is Geryon. Geyon. I need you to find out as much as you can about him. His weaknesses, like what he craves, what sort of thing he needs. I need you to find out exactly what makes him tick. Say, for example, I was playing chess against him. How would I beat him at chess?
Oh, good idea. How to beat? I see nothing terrible with this.
She's literally writing exactly how to get my chest. Shh. It's okay. Actually, I'm not going to do that because that's the I don't hate my popcorn with.
Yes,
Fuss is fuss. Oh, fuss is fuss.
Anyway,
yeah, that sounds nice. Any time particularly by?
there is no time limit on this. This is completely when you are available. I'm not expecting you to change the world or anything like that for me. Just find out about this Geryon person, and when you found out some stuff, bring me the information in Stygia.
Doing a pile of stuff, but you know what? The best person to ask anything to do is the busy person to do
Exactly,
it.
because they will find the easiest and quickest way to do it. And you, Dr. Suzy Planchett, are, if anything, very resourceful.
I'm your girl.
I think it was easy and quick.
Shush, Adam, stop doing this to me. I'm trying to be sensible. Anyway,
Gonna get into space at least.
see, this is the thing. I have the ability to unlock certain doorways of arcane energies, not the ability to wrangle animals. So I would discuss with someone who is a ranger of some sort. They might be able to help you that way. If you give me their names, I may be able to coerce them into helping you.
Yeah, I see some dunes, maybe. I'll think about it. But I just thought I'd ask. There we go.
Awesome.
Don't worry, I'll just play with this one for tonight. It's so cute.
Oh yes,
I mean,
sorry.
it's a little bit unnerving. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
completely understand. I realised that I kind of sprung it up on you. I just thought I noticed that you were playing with this creature and you seemed to be quite happy with it. So I thought, what if I interacted with you through the creature? Anyway, I think you should spend some time playing with this creature, having a lovely night. Everyone else seems to be asleep at the moment, so I'll just leave them to it.
Cool. Thanks very much, boss. I'll get on that as soon as I can. And anywhere I can report in, or should I just wait for you to?
I mean, if you want to write pieces, small parchments, open the locket I've given you and place it in there. That will directly come to me.
That's really cool. Remember that. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
So have a good night.
Good evening.
Sleep well. Sweet dreams. Don't have
The
a
displaced
time.
beast just kind of starts looking at you, kind of crazy, kind of like what's going on. It looks like it doesn't understand the game that you're playing with it now, and it's just kind of bouncing back and forward in front of you as if like an excited dog is watching you carefully. Now it's stopped talking.
Awake again.
You're awake again, yes.
I'm guessing I don't notice if I was asleep.
No, you just kind of it felt like your eyes closed for a second, and you're just blinking, and then you've opened your eyes back up. But after that blink, and everything's normal again.
Can I go to the window and
Yep.
just have a look to see if I can see anything?
Yeah, make a perception check.
Ooh, 9.
Nope, not much.
That's
Just a
7.
from the light of the building that's going out into the clearing, it's just a clearing outside. There's not much happening outside. You can see every now and then just a bird flitting off in the tree line above, like off the canopy. But other than that, can't see anything.
Trying to tell what type of bird.
Make a nature check for me.
Hoping so easy. Nature. 17 plus nature. 19.
Raven.
Fuck yeah.
Lovely.
You're the only one that sees that as a good thing.
Oh, woman, yeah, so Raven.
Question. Just
Lovely.
Klaxis call them raisins or ravens?
Raisins. I had stuff in my mouth, so I couldn't see a raisin. My teeth were stuck together, so I can't go raisin.
It's really sticky popcorn.
It really is. I'm struggling quite
Anyway.
hard here.
Well, you're probably not.
Professionals.
You're probably not fit to stick it up when we're doing an audio thing. Anyway, sweet. I'm just gonna sit down and wait until someone else comes into the shift.
Cool.
Watch.
Whenever it's my turn, wake me up.
Yep.
Wake me up.
Let me up and
Oh
down.
my god.
Before you go.
I went to wait me up before you go.
Oh, you two went there. We went to Evanescence.
We're the cool ones.
And today my first ever gig was Evanescence.
And also,
What's wrong with Evanescence? That's
Amy-
really cool.
Amy Lee is a babe. So.
Yes, yes, she is.
Either way, continuing onwards.
Sweet. I'll hand over to you.
Lovely.
Have fun.
Babe.
Although before I'm like, so like, it's all clear. There's some birds outside. It's quite nice. I've not seen Mittens, which is good because he sounds scary.
Yeah, just a bit. Just a bit.
Honestly though, now there's like no one around. Like, why are you fucking about with time?
It's more... How do I put it? I just feel like there's more to understand. I'm not trying to fuck about with it, as you say, but there's more to understand.
Aye, but why? What made you go? Alright. Oh, I forgot we had this chat. Hey! Oh my god, my character's ahead of me because I haven't got that yet in my brain. Like, just like, why though? Because I don't wake up every day and be like, I'm gonna like piss about with space time.
I think so. My father was a watchmaker.
Oh, right, cool. So, all those chats. Right.
I mean, very much doesn't have to be, but this
No,
is the
no,
only way
no,
I can
no,
explain it
it's
to you.
fine. That was an internal monologue.
Oh, was it though?
Apparently not.
My father was a watchmaker, but he always would tell me we're horologists, you know, we study and mark time, and he would tell me fairy stories from where he grew up about fairies who can manipulate time. And so obviously I'm being told I study and mark time. Eventually I thought there would be something more to it, but no, he literally would just sit and make clocks and watches, and whilst you know that is a very helpful and important job, that's not studying time, it's just counting it, and maybe there's not a lot more to it, and if that's the case then at least I know that, but I feel like there's more to it. It's an unanswered question. I have to answer the question.
I hate how backstories are identical.
We just made the same character.
Yeah.
Time and death, you just changed the words.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, fuck you. It's a good enough calling, I guess. Well, at least you've got, like, a reason for it.
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, I have noticed that, I mean, you've literally got a sword in your arm, and that's not exactly the most common thing in the world.
Well, it's not in my arm. I just like rake it across it.
What?
Some people get their magic from like 3 dots. Used to get his magic from like a god dragon. 4 dots doesn't. I'm not going to even try and figure that out. But
No, it's quite baffling.
some people get their magic from gods. Some people get it from crazy demons that live in their locket. I get mine from my blood. And yeah, it hurts like fuck. But it seems to work.
But then why do you do it?
It works. Dream why do I do it? Like, I'm trying to help those that have like undead have been like wrenched back in, and put them over to like the proper side. And if I can understand death in the process, hooray! But I don't want these people to just have a not death. There's no joy in just being stuck in like purgatory with your soul wrenched back from where you're meant to be.
See?
Yeah, I just help them go on.
It's a very selfless calling.
Well, it's not. It's admittedly, it's like a secondary option. So just trying to learn about death, right? I want to know what it is and why it is. As much as the Raisin Queen's great, she comes down and takes you when you need to go and you go. But why? Why then? But yeah, if people need to go, they go. Just interesting to know why.
It is interesting to know why.
So I watch people, especially the undead, as they pass over and see what I can glean. I wave the hand to the sky. Hey, see, it's fine. It's fine like this. It's only when it's like cut, like a normal scar.
Okay.
A good watch. Watch out for mittens.
Yeah. Yeah, will do.
Go team daddy issues, yeah. Oh, fuck.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes.
Am I snuggling with the kids or
Oh
not?
my fucking god, I love it.
Yes! Oh, I'm gonna remember this forever.
Is it sleep nipping?
Oh my god, it's doing the boring thing, but with its
Tentacles.
little tentacles. What's on the face? I reckon it's on the face.
I can live with this.
Switch.
Thank you for giving me that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, one more thing.
Oh.
Before I leave, if you've seen any like reasons, just let us know.
Okay. Ravens, right?
Aye, yeah,
Right,
reasons.
just
yeah.
checking.
Yeah, reasons.
Just checking.
Yeah, reasons, yeah.
You do hear that you're pronouncing that with an S?
What? Yeah, because it's plural.
No, I mean. In the I knew as soon as I said it, that's what you're going to go. I fucking hate it.
Got fucking inspiration for a grammar joke. I love D&D.
No, I mean in the middle.
Hey, reason.
You're saying it like the dried fruit, not the bird.
R-A-V-E-N. Reason. Sweet. Sorted. I'm glad we had this discussion. There's no S in that.
It's going to be brilliant. It's, when it comes to level 20, you find out it's literally just been a lisp he has that gets knocked up.
No, I'm pretty sure.
What I find at level 20 is that my deity is just a giant race.
That's exactly what I'm expecting. Cool. I'm just go on
Massive
watch.
razor with sunglasses comes out like.
Where's he from? He's from the west coast of America.
Anyway, sorry.
California,
You go on for your watch.
Yeah.
Lovely. So this is going to be a fun thing.
Oh god. Why did I go second?
Klaxis, as you fall asleep,
Okay.
you dream of a. Sorry, electric sheep.
Yeah.
Different character.
Damn.
Different character. wait for the modern one shot. Anyway.
Tiny unicorns, man.
You dream of a overcast day, and you are stood in the middle of a cornfield. It is in early spring. It's not grown too much, so it's a bit more at like knee length, coming up to waist height. And every now and then, as you look around, there is just a cropping of ravens that bursts out of the ground and shoots up into the air. And every now and then, you can see a female figure on the distance.
Okay.
But every time you try to walk closer, she seems to stay the same distance away from you.
Do I recognise a female figure?
Make an intelligence check for me.
No. Oh, actually, maybe. 17.
17. Although you have never seen an image of her, this is how you imagine the Raven Queen to look.
Sweet.
However that is, in your head you may design that. But at the same time.
Damn.
Just
Just a raven. Just a raven in a bikini. I take it back. It's not hard to say the reason.
Too late, it's canon.
We're going to start a second podcast Patreon thing where we can pay for your therapy afterwards.
£5 a month gives you bleach to pour into your eyes.
And ears. Over the ears.
Mouth and
Decent house.
And then for fun, depending on how you interpret this next bit, so that is your dream, and you just sleep for the rest of your evening. For the fun, depending on how you interpret this, Ellipsis wakes up. Just sort of kind of wakes up in the middle of the night in a start, and just looks up, realizing this is about half an hour, 40 minutes into your watch, and kind of looks around, sees that everyone's asleep. Which watch is it?
Second.
Cool. What time is it? Sorry, it's about 2-3 in the morning at this point.
About 2-3 in the morning.
Lovely.
So go back to sleep.
Yeah, that's fine. Question.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to figure some things out. and sleep is the best time to do it because you can kind of unlock the other part of your brain.
Yeah.
So you're into the idea of studying time, and you seem to have this whole thing against gods and such like that. Okay, not against gods, but you had this whole thing of like they take too much and stuff like that. We say that it would be fair to assume or to state that you have some anger towards gods in general.
I suppose that would be fair.
Okay. And you want to study time because you want to understand. There is a question being asked, and like you need to answer it, but your father couldn't answer it because he just told you stories of Chult and stuff like that. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I've only just realised this because, like I said, sleep is the best time to... You know that time varies and stuff like that in Chult are specifically... They're based off 9 gods. Right?
Do I?
Make a history check for me. Or a religion check of your choice.
I don't think she do.
Make a history check.
History check.
That still makes it an 11.
11, thank you.
11.
So, essentially, there, I can't
I
remember.
feel like if he lived there, he'd have told me something.
He is, this is a very old story thing. He's telling you essentially Chinese whispers. You learn it. So I've heard the story that the boy who cried wolf actually cried like wolf mother or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't read into that joke, but I've heard a different version of it, and therefore that has led to me going that the story is actually that, and then I pass it down to my child. My child does that. Either way, you have heard that there are there are fairies that can play with time in Chult, which is your homeland. However, there is a story that apparently Ellipsis knows, and we will continue from there. Anyway, so yeah, they're based off gods, like fairies. It depends where you are and what religion you're following. But there's religions that suggest that fairies aren't the little wispy things that you see on like packages in Waterdeep and all that. They used to be full human-sized things. Like I say, human, like 6 foot standing, and they used to have tells of like fire red hair, pale white skin, and just a constant need to help and to continue the growth of a person. Yeah,
I mean, I was always told it as a story.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, though. But like those stories come from gods.
Right.
So, is that why you don't like gods? Because they have ruined this path of investigation?
No. I mean, no.
No? Okay, so it's not Dad's fault. How are you with your mother? I know, we've only been a couple of days, but at the same time, you questioned my god.
Asking all the small questions, aren't you? Asking all the small questions.
I mean, I can ask you any question you prefer me not to ask, and I can ask you any question you prefer me to ask instead of these questions. I'm just thinking on my feet and trying to work out what's going on with you, so I can help. You said you want to learn about gods, and obviously I've just lost my connection with my god apparently. So and apparently I've spent the last few days learning from you how to make early points at the little ball where kind of
oh my god, he's sleeping.
Yeah, Boggle's body wraps around the head into like a little indent that he's made, so the body rolls into a ball. And although you can see the light is like faded where the eyes are, you know that it's kind of in down.
Yeah.
Like he's made like a down time.
Standby mode.
Yes. So I've learned how to do this because of you that way, and you want to learn through me, or you were trying to learn through me religion and such like that. And the other two don't even get me fucking started on Doctor. And I'm really excited for when we work with Klaxis' gods, but at the same time, I think that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it? What? I don't get How can I help you if I don't know what the question is?
I don't know that there's any help to be given.
Or how can I teach you if I don't know the question? Like, student always has a question. It may be a very abstract one, like what is the meaning of time? But then there are other ones like, why do you follow your god? And that is kind of a very abstract question, but at the same time it's something that for want of a better description, take me for example. I am what is referred to as an Azamar, which is a human mixed with a celestial being. So I am living proof that my belief works. Sort of thing.
I don't dispute that. I don't dispute.
No, but I'm not saying that you dispute that my belief is wrong or whatever. What I'm trying to get at, and my brain is trying to work out the way of it. That's what I was doing in the middle of sleep and trying to work out things. But like you asked me what my belief is, and in some respects, not to hit the nail on, not to keep whacking away at the nail and it bend out of shape and all that, but at the same time, like, if you can measure time, you can measure belief, or it is a construct of human perception that has created some form of like, the more I believe, the better my life is.
Mm-hmm.
Or for some people.
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting that if you're trying to answer what is the meaning of time, there is another one of like how does belief work? What is it, a tangible thing? Is it something like, because obviously personally for me, I've lost my belief, therefore I've lost my deity's trust and power.
I think my issue is it doesn't necessarily always have to be that you lose your belief. It's that belief isn't necessarily always enough.
But that's what I mean. If I start to believe in him, would I get my power back? Is like, but how does belief? What is it like? I'm just switching on a light. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is there a thing where like you have some void which should be the switch that says belief not? Like he picks Boggle up and goes very gently and very tentatively, as if he's trying not to wake him, knowing. He just brings it up and goes, so when I cast Shocking Grasp into him, he recharges and he has a certain amount of resistance to damage and such like that. I can replenish that by casting it again into him. Now here's my question for you. If I charge him too much, is that my fault that he is then broken, or is that because he believed I would give him only enough to sustain him? Or is it a case of that he has some, like, I know he's a construct, but at the same time I'm referring to him as a he, and I've had him for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like,
welcome.
Yeah, I know, but I never had a problem with you calling Pivot him. I've spent half an hour of my sleep worrying about the fact that Pivot is going to get cold outside. Like, this is not about. This is not about. It's not about them being like humanized or personified, because they have. Boggle spent 20 minutes running into a forest and then created a colony of ants for him. Well done, Boggle. Pivot has literally chosen to keep the chalk marks. Boggle has also done it. But they both chose to keep the chalk marks on and have actively. There was a moment where you offered Pivot to wipe it off, and either he didn't understand the problem, so therefore he just was going, I don't understand what to do, because of the lack of his limitation, the limitations of him as a construct, or is it the fact that he believes in you how I used to believe in Faerun?
Okay, I think I'm starting to see what you're getting at.
What I'm trying to work out is in a way that I can teach you religion, but in a way that doesn't sound like mythos and bullshit. Because that's the problem with religion. It's all hearsay and
yes,
and stories. And stories are really easy to prove, because like we could literally walk to the Underdark, go down there, and I could show you the crash site of where the Demogorgon was pulled through millennia ago. the Demogorgon is a thing. We literally have a time period because of
Yeah.
them things. But at the same time, that is irrefutable fact and proof that it was there, and it is physical, and it's something you would do tangibly.
Yes.
However, me going, I believe in Faerun, light on my sword, that's just kind of like that could just be, you know, the light cantrip doing, you're bullshitting me. Whereas Pivot is a physical thing in front of you, and he is treating you like a deity almost, because he is learning from you, he makes his decisions by you, and he will go through turmoil, figuratively and literally, if you tell him to, because he believes in you. So you can physically alter the storyline to fit to your, like, education sort of thing.
Yes. And I have ideas. I don't know how to execute them yet. They're whirring. Of ways to make him more able to express himself,
Yes.
more intelligent, I suppose. He's quite intelligent anyway, but you know
So
what
you're
I
not
mean.
going to essentially give him life.
I mean, if that's the way you'd like to put it.
It's a way I can look at it. Say, for example, I've read briefly over your notes, obviously, because bubble, but at the same time, like, you were mentioning at the beginning of your research the idea of, like, making a construct personality. If you can make a construct personality, you can make a construct person literally, like, to the point that I could be all cogs and wires underneath this and you wouldn't know about it. I mean, it'd be very impressive. But at the same time, what I'm suggesting is whenever someone does that sort of thing, like liches or like scientists or whatever you want to refer to it as, whenever someone does that, they are referred to as playing God.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that is our in where we can help you learn religion by making you a god, but at the same time knowing you, let's not do that because gods, damn it would be hilarious watching you tout round that ego on the back of...
I love that you
He's not big
said...
enough to carry it at the moment.
I love that you say that you need to teach me religion.
I don't need to teach you religion. I need to answer your question you put in front of me 3 or 4 days ago in the Neverwinter Forest. You specifically said that you're trying to learn from me, so I'm trying to give you a lesson. And yes, I'm very aware that it felt like a lecture, and it was hilarious, and I got 5 stars on TripAdvisor and everything else.
Wi-Fi, didn't give a Wi-Fi code.
But at the same time, like, here's the fun thing. I shouted at you and you didn't learn anything because that's not how things work. Learning is a conversation. It is always a conversation because you could bring forth things I could never think about or possibly would never think about even though I could have thought of it. I may boggle into a small thing because I always see myself as a miniature of myself, so therefore I went, what can't I do? I'm going to send in the small little guy who could do this sort of thing. You've made Pivot in a way that is basically, let's make something that can deal with fighting whilst I go off and learn something.
Mm-hmm.
If neither of us had met each other, and I had just come up with this crazy idea that I was going to make Boggle, I would not have had the inspiration of making him to a small thing because I've already seen what a big thing would happen. I would just make an average size thing and go, cool. Whereas I've already gone, I've seen a big thing, so I want to see the limitations of the small thing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just because we have had several conversations about how I'm a very intelligent person, so why am I wasting time on Zephyron? You have stated you have interest in like what religion is, and you've said that it takes too much. So how do I'm not asking you to answer this now, or I'm not saying that this is something I need to do because it's not my job. At the end of the day, you could go off into the wilderness tonight and I would wake up and go, cool, that sucks, but at the same time, it's not going to hurt me if I didn't answer the question of why do you think gods take too much?
My mother was a paladin, and then she very much wasn't.
Oh, how did you find living with a paladin? Because it's fucking unbearable being one.
Mm-hmm. But now imagine being a paladin that is still completely devoted, but your god couldn't give two fucks.
Which god was she under?
Helm.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm well aware that he's a dick of the highest order.
Yes, he is. He is literally like the shadow that you can see behind the bullbag swinger in the first place.
Yeah.
There's always a bigger bullbag. That has got to be a t-shirt somewhere. Podcast. Anyway,
Waffling up.
It's more seeing what it did to her to be abandoned.
He goes quiet. He genuinely goes quiet at this moment. He kind of sits, and you think he might have fallen back asleep in his seated position. And he gets up and walks over to you, and takes a coin out of his pouch and just places it in your hand. But before he places it in his hand, he focuses as like you can see he's physically straining as much possibility and like focus into it as possible, and then places it in your hand. As cool. I've got a simple test here, and I know that you've already got evidence that it's already wrong. But your mum used to be a paladin who was berated by her god for giving up on the tenets that he set. However, she still lived to that code, and she would have still been a paladin regardless of if she chose to not live by his exact word or not. The message is very malleable in any god's statement. There is no active god that physically gives a... They are very passive-aggressive. They are very...
I'm well aware.
But here's my question for you. If I ask you tomorrow morning to use that coin to heal yourself, and you heal yourself as someone who has been given up by his god, or I've given up my god, would that prove that maybe it's just that specific god and not all of religion? Would that go some way to not making amends, because no one or nothing could make amends for what happened there, but at the same time...
I'm aware I've made some very harsh and sweeping generalizations. Just saw her go from this glowing beacon of light, and it broke her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to forgive.
Oh, I know, and that's why we have things called the Oathbreaker. You've possibly heard this phrase, being a daughter of a paladin, but you were there when I signed my oath of conquest to Faerun. Those that give up on their oath and break the rules and the tenets that they should live by are known as Oathbreakers. They are predominantly what turns later on into life into Death Knights. And I don't mean that in that cool way of someone who follows a deity of death. I mean that in the physical, the haunted skeleton and remains of a paladin become a Death Knight. So Lord Soft, one of the biggest ones, originally was just a human paladin that got a little too ballsy. There would be no way that your mum was truly lost and broken by Helm if she lived a normal life afterwards. You would know immediately that he had given up, especially Helm. Like, Helm is like, and he goes over to the kitchen, picks out a knife and goes, cool, you've been bad according to Zephyrilon. He takes the blade and has it like flat and slaps it across his hand and goes, cool, that hurt. But at the same time, you've been bad. Helm slaps it into his chest, completely like blade in. This was a very big risk, but I'm hoping this works. And he takes it out and places his hand there. And and then removes it, and the line is basically healed up as if he'd never been stabbed. And he goes, just because he's a bag of balls, Zavaralon doesn't give up too easily. I can just about do the things that you can do with Boggle, but it's too much for me. I can understand, I study knowledge, and I will learn everything, and I will become a sentient being, essentially a walking library. At the same time, it's very hard to create life like a god. I can follow one, I cannot be one.
I'm not trying. I know how it looks, and that's not what I'm trying to do. My father taught me the mechanics of the clockwork, and
yes.
Was always in his shop making stuff, and let's be honest, I'm not the easiest person to be friends with.
I mean, you're a lot easier than half the people I've worked with. You three don't say in front of Planchett, at least, because she seems to get attached very quickly.
Like a limp.
You three are the closest two friends I have ever had in this lifetime.
And
the
dare I
lifetime
say that I am in a very similar position.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm going to ask you this out loud. I said it the other day, and I'm not offering you this as in like a do this. I said to you the other day that if Klaxis was the one who left, I would follow him. If you disbanded, who would you follow out of all three of us?
Oh, I love that you think it's you then.
It's funny because it's not.
Don't answer that. But just think about it. And I am going to go sleep a lot better knowing that the puncture wound that should be in my lung is healed, for one. But
It's
two,
good to know.
two, I have been wrestling with this for the past 4 or 5 days now, and that worry of not... it's not that I need I don't need a god, because I am part god myself in some way as a celestial being. More of an angel than a god, because, I don't have the ego for it. But at the same time...
Continue.
Role-playing.
D&D's an escape. D&D's an escape.
Come on, we all know it's therapy.
But at the same time, like, I'm drawing my power from somewhere, and it is measurable by the way that I can only do a certain amount of spells, by the way that I can only heal a certain amount, but also there is a balance to that book where there is only so much good I can do.
It's a question of trust, and quite frankly, there are very few things that I have faith in at all, let alone gods.
Don't listen to gods, because most gods.
Oh, don't worry, I don't.
What I'm asking,
Clearly.
what I'm asking of you, and maybe we'll see what happens in the next few days, is rather than listening to gods, listen to the people around you, as you have been already. I'm not saying that you haven't, but listen to the people around you. Listen to the stories of how you have a literal beacon of power of an evil deity. She hasn't worked it out just yet, apparently, as the history doctor. It's fine. She doesn't know that Levistus is king crazy. You have the neutral, which is Mr. Interested in Death.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if you're good, you're bad, you're ugly, you're pretty, you're dying. Unless you're a lich, then you just chance it and you kind of mix it.
You apparently.
I did add pretty at the end of it. That ego, Steve, that ego. Anyway,
That ego.
I am going to quote what Klaxis said the other day about this. You die when it's your time. Obviously, I have more stuff to do, and also celestial beings get the luxury of not being neutral. We are predominantly good. Chaotic. Some lawful, some neutral good, but like these are literally just labels that we put on ourselves to make us feel better at night when we go home and we go, I did a lot of good today, or I was very neutral, so I didn't make a stand, but I also didn't cause any harm. And then you've got the other people who genuinely couldn't give a fuck and go, it's a label that someone's put on me, and they're chaotic. Anyway, but at the same time, like, I am not fighting the idea of death. If I get given that luxury, I will take it with both hands. I'm not saying that I want to die now, but if someone says, your time has come and you're not being sent back, find yourself a new paladin. Because you'll need one, depending on what you do with that one. And points at Planchett again. And in fairness, if you make friends with the right people through that one, and points at Klaxis, I think you're going to not have to worry about healing. You're more just going to have to worry about how long you had on the contract. But I personally, again, like I said, you guys are a catalyst of good for me. I will stick around, but I've also died once already, and I have questioned my religion twice because of you specifically.
I'll try not to keep doing that.
Oh, it's fine. You just bat your eyelids and smile at me, and I'll just continue being resoundingly religious. I had to sit and think after our conversation, and I genuinely had a moment of going, maybe she's right, and then I talked myself out of it. And that was not because of Faerun, that was not for him, that was not because I need to have a deity or anything, it's because, like I said, I pull my power from belief. It just is belief itself, not belief in Faerun. Belief in me. Belief in you, belief in Klaxis, belief in the belief in the fact the sun's going to rise tomorrow morning, belief in the fact that that man there, with the goodness of his heart, and he's pointing at Alan at this point, the goodness of his heart has let us stay here scotch-free, and hasn't even turned into a beholder in the middle of the night to attack us, and then we roll for
initiative. Yeah.
But no.
I fucking love it. We tend to enjoy sleeping. It's exactly the same cat personality. You should enjoy it beholden with all his eyes snoozing.
Oh, yeah.
Disintegration rays, just sand.
One of the eyes goes.
Anyway, yeah, I'm going to try to go back to sleep. I just wanted to have a chat with you because I've been thinking about this past few days. You got watch. These guys have done their thing. They have no issues to chat about, and if they do, they'll chat with us.
Well, I'm definitely asleep this whole time.
Tent peg in the middle of
Why did you make it weird?
because it's me. Anyway, but yeah, they haven't come to us with any issues, and if they have, they've had issues with what we do. Klaxis again about me coming back, and Klaxis about your interest in time and your briefer than mine, but your disdain against religion. They'll come to us if they have any issues, but at the same time, we seem to be, and I apologise to tell you this, but we are the introverts of this fucked up little group.
Indeed.
And I try so hard to be extroverted.
I think I have just not had much call before to trust anyone. And as much as it pains me with this crazy little bunch of people, maybe.
You're going to choose what's it on you, Planchett.
Oh, I don't think it's funny that you think that.
I mean,
That's really funny.
what I think and what I'm making a jest of. Two different things. Anyway, yeah, I'm going back to sleep. Got this. If you need cover, if you need cover on the watch, give me a call.
I'll be okay. I'll keep an eye out.
Cool.
And I'll need to try and work out how to make those monocles a bit better.
Yeah. I'll get back to you on that. I'm unlocking the part of my mind again. And he lies back down and tries to sleep.
You better not beat me to it.
Shoo, I'm sleeping. Shoo, wouldn't possibly dream of it. Shoo, have you tried adding a green wire that links up to the dark vision sensor?
That's literally what I was just thinking about.
Ah, I said it first, it's mine.
I think she chucked something at him. That feels appropriate.
Cool, you guys come to the next morning then. Fairly rested, fairly happy. You watch for 10 minutes in complete entertainment as Planchett and the Displacer Kitty try to detangle themselves.
Oh, that's the cutest! Yay! Have we accidentally adopted a Displacer Kitty?
It's just only because it's stuck to her head by her tentacle.
I'm aiming for it. I'm aiming for it so hard.
It's trapped in her weave.
Look at that fucking wave. I've got a really nice navy bob of hair. It's very sleek, very 20s, very beautiful. So fuck off.
Alan,
Ready as weave.
As you wake, and you would already be aware of this, Hororae, Alan is making breakfast in the kitchen area. He has laid out already bacon and some
Oh, I'm
tofu.
helping him. I wouldn't just stand there. I wouldn't just sit there and watch
That's
him.
fine, you can help him.
That's
He
a bit,
lays
that's
out,
a bit of a dick move. I mean, I know she's a dick.
lays
but-
out bacon and tofu and some breads.
Because he said he hunts everything. I'm just hunting his tofu across a field.
Tofu.
It's just like,
A wild cube.
this giant cube.
Sorry, have you never seen a wild tofu in the door?
That's literally what a gelatinous cube is.
This makes so much
Oh my god, it does!
Well, that ruined that fun, didn't it? And you see a massive white gelatinous tube.
Tube.
Gelatinous
Words.
tube.
I'm tired.
That's what I call making this. While he's doing all that, I'm just going to look at 10
Help
gold
me.
stealthily,
Yeah.
sleight of hand, tell Gond on the table behind one of his books so he doesn't see him.
Lovely.
Stop looking at it.
Ellipsis gets up as well, and kind of looks around and goes, "Well, we've taken enough of Alan's time. Should we not be getting out?"
Oh, yeah.
After food.
Hororae, did you see any, reasons?
Did I?
Did you
Make a
look?
perception check.
Did you?
I mean, I was looking whilst on watch. 9.
9.
Is that the answer or the number?
There was a raven that sat on the railing outside on the decking that just sat watching through the window the entire time.
Yeah. Creepy looking one staring through the window.
Alright, cool. I don't know if this is good or not.
Let me know when you work it
I
out.
fucking will.
That'd be great.
Okay.
With that, there is a knock at the door.
I don't know.
Oh.
There is a knock at the door.
Telegram.
It's indeed a
Oh my
text.
god, is it 100? Is it from the Queen? Sorry. Do you want me to go get it while you've got the
Lovely.
you're cooking? So,
Yeah, he just nods and he goes, "Cool."
hello.
Adam, I need you to have your phone with you.
I need you to make
Fuck.
a
Fuck knows where that's
dexterity saving throw.
Opening the door, there is an elven gentleman who looks ragged. Looks like he's been running constantly, non-stop, for the past 2 days or something. He just opens the door, looks at you. Sir, are you Klaxis?
Aye.
Lovely. This is for you, and hands you a small
I thought
sheet.
you a stab. Sorry.
And we'll pick up next week. No, hands you a small sheet of parchment,
Right.
and then just runs off. Doesn't even bother to tell you where from. This is not the time.
Why
for this
does
music.
somebody know that you're here?
I don't know.
That's quite interesting.
That's
'Cause,
not-
like,
Not interesting. Painfully creepy.
Well, yes. I think that counts under interesting. We're all interested in how it's happened. We've been
Seems
telling
like
people
you're-
where we've been.
I've been with you the whole time.
I don't know.
We only stopped here because we saw some random smoke. I don't know.
Do you have a tracker on you?
No. How the fuck would I have a tracker on me?
I don't know.
Because
Like,
if I had a tracker on me, I'd have eaten it. I love tracker bars, sorry. They're chocolatey and nutty. Look, I don't know. I just
What does it say?
give me a chance. So far, it's the words are written as I see them. It's through a magical hand. Give me a chance.
Go to our Patreon. I feel like I need to do a Sam Regal. Oh, we do also have merch. We never plug the merch.
Yeah, the shop was amazing.
It's a Redbubble. Get some
Understand.
merch. I mean, join the Patreon
the
and I'll
Patreon.
make you one of these.
No one's wearing. We've got really nice tops.
Yeah, we do have t-shirts.
They're pretty.
And you can get like coffee thermos and
Yeah.
all sorts of random shit on there.
I mean,
It's really
There you
good.
go.
Rebel.
That's what it says.
Redbubble.
Just saying, Rebel.
Buy some merch. And now he's reading the message, so join our Patreon.
Yes,
I'll buy some merch.
Redbubble, there's t-shirts. Patreon, there are things. YouTube, there is a catch-up of this every now and then. And Campaign 1 is slowly being uploaded.
Sweet.
What does it say?
Ooh, fuck.
Are you okay?
I'm not great, to be fair.
Do you want a hug?
No.
Probably caught back up with us being on, because if we've travelled from Luskan back round, he's caught up with us as we've got
Can
to
I
Longsaddle back.
dash out and
You
see if
all
I can
saw that
see
there was
where
another
he's
bloke.
gone?
Oh, right.
Yeah, you can see the tracks in the ground have run off back in the direction that you came.
In about a minute or so.
Yeah, it's been about a minute.
I was not like catch him.
You can chance it if you like.
No, because I'll get lost.
Do you want me to send Truffle?
I'm quite wise. I will know. No. No, it's fine.
Is there anything we can do?
I'm sorry. Fuck off, you prick.
I don't know the difference between you talking and
He's
Klaxis.
just been hit by plotline.
I can't do plot in an accent, alright? I'm not prepared for this. Sweet. So.
What is it?
My dad's dead. That's grand. Fuck. Excuse me. I'm just gonna be sat over there doing nothing. So, cool. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, great.
Just shout if you need anything.
I will do it.
We're having
Please tell me you're going to go and sit next to Pivot.
I mean, I wasn't because he's outside. Oh, I'm outside now. Yeah, cool.
You went outside?
Yeah, get in. Cool.
There we go. Pivot can console you. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know how aware he actually is. In my head, he's like, he sees that you're sad and kind of just goes,
You didn't make Baymax.
He definitely does. He gave him a face.
at a time, she literally made a friend. So, just saying.
So, whilst Klaxis is dealing with that. Cool.
I know I should be more focused on
No,
what the actual news was, but I'm mostly slightly disconcerted that somebody managed to.
courier systems are used throughout the north all the time. It's fine for that. We are easy to track if you literally go to Mirabar and go, oh, they headed down the long road. I mean, that
We're
may be
quite
something.
obvious.
We haven't exactly
We
been
did
stealthy.
literally set fire to a mansion.
And the rest of the village.
However, there
been
is
excessive
also the fact that we walked
after the
into the middle of a
massacre.
forest and they found us. But then they have arcane means. They've always had arcane means.
And they could have just done what we did.
No,
which was-
my question here is not about the fact that someone's been watching us, but that might be fun to discuss later. I'm going to ask this to you two before we go out there and ask him, obviously. Should we be still heading to Menzoberranzen, or should we adamantly tell him he needs to stop and think about what he wants to do before barreling into a deaf god's
I mean,
sword
yeah, I'm going to lean
holder
towards
or whatever
that.
he's doing?
Losing a significant family member, regardless of how you may feel about them, is quite a big thing. I don't know how I feel about him. Don't actually know anything about his family. Haven't really
Bunch
gotten
of
that
clerics from Fireshire, he said on the...
Oh, yeah.
From Fireshire, he is the oldest
Hororae
boy.
remembers.
He's the oldest boy
No,
of...
does not.
I can't remember, he never told us how many there were, he just said he was the oldest boy and he had family in Fireshire. His dad was the head of the family that were the grave clerics in Fireshire. That's exactly what he told us on, as much from what I remember what he said after the ruins of Alisk.
I'm gonna throw my penny in.
Uh-oh.
I definitely think we should take a break a little bit. Make sure he doesn't just run off into the woods or do something stupid.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, if he wants to carry on to Menzoberranzen,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's a good idea to.
I'm just
Go
asking
along with it.
before one of us take a stand and tell him, you can't, you need to stay here. Or we point him back towards Fireshear and say, let's go deal with that.
Can he pretend Pivot has something wrong with him? Then we have to stay for a little bit longer. Give him a chance to.
Yeah.
We could spend time looking at Pivot and seeing what we can do. You said you wanted to work on the
Yeah, I've got a few things
monocle,
I want to
but we've
work
literally
on.
just spent 2 days working on Pivot, so he will just remember that you've just fixed him.
Mhm.
And you've managed to add things over the night, so there might be a question of that as well. So I'm just saying that there's a bloke to deal with, and I'm
Do
thinking more. I told you guys I'd hang around because you guys are helping me do good. Are we doing bad by telling someone who's literally just been told their dad has died that he needs to continue to go see some chronomancers in Arcadia or stuff like that?
I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
There's no timeline. Yeah, he needs to take time to think, at the very least.
Klaxis, is there anything that you do outside whilst this is happening?
Walk around the building, looking for ravens.
Looking around, there's nothing.
Sweet. Literally that. And quietly thinking, pondering.
Okay.
Ooh.
Awesome. Ellipsis steps out then, finds you and says, cool, you still want to do Menzo or?
Right.
Yeah. Sounds good to me, wait. Right. You want to come in for breakfast or?
I'm not really that hungry.
That's cool. I'll throw some bacon cobs in a bag or something like that. And keep it in my satchel if you need it.
Do you know the nearest place you can send a letter?
Closest place you can send a letter would be, at this point you'd be going back to Mirabar. It's about, you're looking at 2-day travel back to Mirabar from where we are.
It's like a 2-week trip back to Fireshear. That's fucking miles.
Yeah.
Alright, fuck that. No, it's fine. We keep going forward.
He's not there. I can't say
No.
anything.
Ellipsis leaves you to it then and walks back in and goes, he still wants Menzo, so he was asking about a letter, but obviously there's not a lot we can do. Ooh.
No, that's not alright.
I can hear it outside, him going, ooh.
Ooh.
Sweet, that's fine. I come back in.
Lovely. Well, Alan, thank you for a lovely stay. And I would be lying to you if I said that it was the best place I've slept in the past few days, because every day's an adventure and all that sort of thing. But please keep your door open if we ever walk past this way again, because my God, that floor is better than any floor I've slept on. Yeah, sorry. Continue, please. You people, please, whilst I.
It's been a few days. Bye, kitty. I get the kitty. They'll see.
Cool. Anything else that anyone would like to do?
No, fine, thank
Just gonna thank Ellen for his hospitality.
Lovely. So you guys pack up. You bang Alan. He smiles kindly as each of you leave.
Question.
Yep.
Do I know
No. About
Yeah.
your statement was that
Because I gave you full control and I can't remember the voice, but
you said that you know that for that bit, you said that you don't know about that. You just know that there has been a conversation that was.
what happened, don't know what.
Yes, stuff happens. Don't know what.
Cool.
You were told when you asked about it as a child that your dad would talk to you when it was time.
Oh, what a prick.
Welcome to Haunting of House Hill. Welcome to the Haunting of Hill House. Yes, you were told that he would have the conversation with you when the time was right. And unfortunately, the time was never right.
Well.
31, but a prick. I'm not busy all the time.
But yes, you guys pack up. You guys start to leave the building and you start to head towards the direction of Menzoberranzen. Are you heading through the Lurkwood, or are you heading back out of the Lurkwood and circumnavigating?
I recommend heading out and then.
I vote circumnavigation.
Yeah, you guys there. So you guys start to follow the track that you came in through.
As we're walking out,
early evening.
I'm going to kind of walk up to Klaxis and be like, are you sure you still want to?
By the time I get home, it'll have been done, would have gone, so it's completely natural and normal, and it just sucks.
That doesn't mean you don't want to go home. You can want that. I know I've been very pushy about this whole journey, but it's a big thing.
Oh, it trust me, it is. But I'm not sure going home right now would be the best idea.
Okay.
Trying to put as much distance as possible between me and home. So well.
Okay.
But thank you.
Cool. So.
Like, how much control over time could you have?
Suppose we'll find out.
Next week.
Oh,
What did I say to you? I'd either come up with a reason or Steve would throw one at us. He was like, why do you want to manipulate time? What do you want to go back and change? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe she just wants to let... I don't know.
I haven't done anything. I'm just making a world happen around you.
Okay, sweet.
Yes. Lovely. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Thank you very much, guys, for playing. And as always,
Thank you for DMing and writing all this. And just...
I didn't write shit. Anyone on the Patreon, that was all improv. You've wasted your money getting that one.
So you should have at least written it up afterwards.
I'm joking. I'm sorry. Look.
Pages of unreadable writing you could have instead.
I definitely am writing this up so you don't know it was improvised at all. No, yeah, I mean, every week you get an update of my session notes so you know that I'm not improvising all of it. Anyway, cool. So we shall see you next week for the continuation of this, hopefully going towards Menzoberranzen. We shall see what happens in the wonders of Alan's world.
Alan Bennett.
Oh, yes.
Now he's just the Churchill.
It's the Roman, he was in the Senate.
So yes, we shall hopefully have some more fun. There will definitely be more combat because that was a whole 3 hours where we didn't fight anything and I feel dirty. The barbarian in me is screaming. And the cleric in me is thanking me. Yeah. If you'd like to join us on our podcast Patreon and such like that, we keep touting. Join us if you'd like to make any suggestions for anything and all that sort of stuff. Drop us a tweet or an email.
I'm not trying to. Ever. Ever in my life.
Yes. Anything from you, loves?
I just love
Rough
everybody.
Rough draft.
Come see us.
Come see us.
Send me your words.
Alright, Neil Redding. So many pages, not words. I apologise, you totally...
I nearly said it.
Fred William Wolverhampton on near like that West Midlands for years. Just Friday.
Yes!
There's this Saturday, Friday.
Yeah, next
in
week
the Reading Centre.
2 of the table are going to be a little messy.
Hey, sweet, so is Klaxis, so it's fine.
It's worked out quite nicely.
And then Adam and Hannah are going to be messy because of 1448.
Yay.
I'm just going to have sat up writing.
These are messy because they can't eat my spaghetti.
No!
I
No.
love sauce all over your face.
I thought you thought
Don't put.
But it's okay, guys. Because some people like sauce on their face, and that's them owning their kink. I kept it running all week.
It needs to be a t-shirt.
Please make me a
Add it to my
t-shirt.
to-do-
I
add
will
it to
wear
my
that
to-do
t-shirt with
list.
the
pride.
world's most pointless D&D t-shirt.
I'm
Know
gonna-
your king.
Do you know what my kink is? It's a t-shirt saying
Oh,
I'm
it
the
could be an
king.
actual one saying own your king. Because that's like masochism. I roll all the time. Why could any bad things happen? You know? You're welcome. I tied it back around to D&D.
Well done.
Fucking
Well
welcome.
fucking done.
Apart from my drink does it, and every time he rolls a one, he throws his hammer at someone's face.
That's his kink, he's sadist.
What if your kink is kink shaming?
Ooh. You can't have our t-shirt, but we'll make you something else.
A lovely bracelet. Rescue it.
Anyway,
Bye.
bye now. Bye.
Have a good time.
Bye. Have a good time. From now on.
I have a good time.
Doctor.
Arr, arr.